Chapter 3200. It was a joke for Demon Palace to send out 3 chaotic life and death experts to deal with a rogue cultivator. According to normal circumstances, 3 chaotic life and death experts working together to deal with a rogue cultivator was more than enough. It could be done in minutes. But the result? This rogue cultivator had a heaven-defying chaos space divine tool. Even if the 3 of them worked together, they couldn't even lock onto his position, let alone kill him. What kind of concept was that? Once this matter came out, it completely shook the entire Chaos realm. The Devil Palace had truly lost all face this time. Second Sky Region. Inside Demon Palace. Mo Wutian's face was gloomy when he received the news. His intuition told him that the other party was deliberately targeting Demon Palace. Could it be Longao? Looking at the Chaos Realm, Longao's Chaos Palace was the most likely to be able to avoid the chaotic life and death experts, especially the space divine tool that could lock onto the carriage shaft. Especially. No matter how he thought about it, he couldn't think of anyone who dared to provoke Demon Palace again and again. They even sent out 3 chaotic life and death experts, and the other party didn't show any fear. Apart from Longao, he couldn't think of anyone else. Mo Wutian immediately left Demon Palace with Judas and rushed to the First Sky Region with the fastest speed. If the other party was really Longao, then he would use this opportunity to kill him and take back what belonged to him. The battle between the 3 superforces was still escalating. Jiyu Hao, who was the fuse, had disappeared ever since the 3 superforces started fighting. Jiyu Hao's intention was actually very simple. He wanted to watch the fire from the other side and reap the benefits in the end. Jiyu Hao wasn't a fool. He was very clear that with the strength and foundation of Thunder Heavenly Region, they couldn't contend against any of the 3 superforces. He was preparing for the worst. If he rashly interfered in the battle, Demon Palace, Domain Lord Alliance, and Pill Hall would join hands to deal with him. At that time, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret. Ever since he lost the 9 types of strange flames, Jiyu Hao had been searching for them with all his might. Who dared to be so daring as to go against him? Jiyu Hao was very clear about what the 9 types of strange flames meant. If he could subdue the 9 types of strange flames, once the chaos reincarnation was restored, not only would he have the chance to prove his Tao, but he would also be invincible in the same realm. But now, everything was nonsense. 9 types of deviant flames had been carelessly lost. How could he not be angry? But so what if he was angry? Regarding the matter of losing the 9 types of heavenly fire, Jiyu Hao did not dare to leak it out. In the primal chaos realm, there were only a total of 23 types of deviant flames. Every heavenly flame was a supreme treasure of the chaos realm. As long as one could obtain one of the heavenly flames, they would possess unparalleled power. After all, the other party was not a fool. How could they be so easily fooled? In the end, Longao could only choose to personally lead the carriage away. But before that, he prepared to rearrange the 9 heavens and 10 earths killing array. With just him, Little Black, and the others, it was impossible to kill a chaos life and death martial artist. You want to leave? Just as he was trying to figure out a way to lock onto the other party's carriage, he suddenly saw the other party leaving swiftly. His face turned cold, and he quickly followed behind the other party. Naturally, the black and white elders wouldn't stay behind by themselves. After all, the main reason they were here was to kill the other party. The 3 chaotic life and death experts chased after him. What he was afraid of came true. Just as Longao chased after him, in less than 10 minutes, he had already entered a super formation. This is bad. As soon as he stepped into the formation, Longao had already guessed what had happened. It seemed that Che Yuan had set up the formation before to deal with him. He had even prepared to use it to lure the tiger away from the mountain, but he didn't expect that the other party would set up a trap for him. It was just as Longao had guessed. Ever since Che Yuan discovered that the formation he had set up couldn't lock onto the other party, he began to set up formations in the surroundings. In the 4 directions of north, south, east, and west, he set up a formation each. This way, no matter which direction he went, he would be instantly drawn into the formation. Che Yuan had full confidence in the formation he had set up. He was only afraid that the other party wouldn't enter. Once he entered the formation, he would be the master. He could kill the other party whenever he wanted. Outside the formation. Seeing the other party enter the formation he had set up, Che Yuan was overjoyed. Brother Che, do you need our help? Help? Che Yuan wasn't a fool. Of course, he knew what black and white meant. They didn't believe that he could kill the other party. Furious, he said coldly, I'm the one who trapped this person. Whether or not I can kill him is my business. It has nothing to do with you guys. Che Yuan, don't be too arrogant. No matter how good their temper was, they couldn't take it anymore. After all, Che Yuan had provoked them time and time again. No one could take it, not to mention their status. Ignoring the two of them, Che Yuan sneered, the two of you should rejoice. If not for the old ancestors' obstruction, you guys would be dead by now. Don't think that you're invincible just because the two of you work together. I can tell you that under the chaos of reincarnation, I, Che Yuan, am the strongest. You guys are nothing in front of me. Humiliation, a naked humiliation. You're courting death. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Unafraid of the two of them, Che Yuan laughed maniacally, you guys had better not strike out. Otherwise, even if the old ancestor tries to stop me, I'll kill you guys. Suppressing the rage in their hearts, black and white elders chose to hold it in. Both of them had no confidence in facing Che Yuan. After all, Che Yuan was known as the number one under the chaos of reincarnation. He was also the number two formation master in the chaos world. Even if the two of them worked together, they might not be a match for him. Che Yuan, you'd better remember this. We'll make you pay for what you did today. With just the two of you. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Laughing maniacally once more, his laughter was filled with mockery and disdain. Che Yuan was arrogant. In his opinion, unless a martial artist from the chaos of reincarnation were to descend, no one in the entire chaos world would be a match for him. He was the number one under the chaos of reincarnation. And it was because of this that Che Yuan dared to provoke the two of them. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't even be able to suck up to them, let alone provoke them. This was power. No matter where one went, power was the key. Chapter 3201. Che Yuan didn't waste any more words. He stepped into the formation, ready to kill his opponent. Seeing Che Yuan disappear into the formation, Elder Black and Elder White's face was very gloomy. It was as ugly as it could get. Are we going to be controlled by him forever? So what? Elder Black sighed deeply and said helplessly, Che Yuan's formation can't be countered by anyone other than the old ancestor. We didn't succeed in killing him, but now it's difficult. He regretted it. But what was the use of regretting it now? Back then, Elder Black and Elder White did have a chance to kill Che Yuan, but Mo Wutian had appeared. No matter how unwilling they were, they could only choose to give up. Che Yuan had grown to a point where they couldn't contend with him. Number one under the chaos reincarnation realm. Don't we have a chance at all? You really want to kill Che Yuan? Elder Hei's expression changed. He knew very well what killing Che Yuan meant. Che Yuan wasn't just a chaos life and death warrior, he was also the number two formation master in the chaos realm. The old ancestor valued Che Yuan greatly. If not for the old ancestor's intervention, Che Yuan would have died back then. Why wait until now? Elder White snorted and said coldly, if I don't kill Che Yuan, I'm not human. Che Yuan was a powerful formation master, but he couldn't be on guard against the two at all times. If Elder Black and Elder White were always prepared, who knew what would happen? After Che Yuan entered the array, he coldly looked at the young man in front of him and coldly said, you are really arrogant. You actually dared to provoke the Devil Palace. Do you think that you are invincible just because you have a spatial divine item? Seeing that the youth didn't speak, Che Yuan thought he was afraid and mocked him even more. Kid, what's your goal? Che Yuan wasn't a fool. How could an ordinary wandering cultivator dare to provoke Demon Palace? It was complete nonsense. Indeed. Che Yuan was almost certain that the youth had a motive for attacking Demon Palace. What makes you think you can find out? Endless anger. You're at death's door, And yet you're still so stubborn. I'll kill you first and search your soul. I'll see if I have the rights. Without even activating the formation, Che Yuan was a true Chaos Life and Death warrior, while the other party was just a Chaos Realm warrior. The difference between the two was huge. They weren't even on the same level. A Chaos Life and Death warrior against a Chaos Realm warrior was just a matter of minutes. But the result? Not only was there no fear in Long Che, he even took the initiative. In the blink of an eye, the two of them were already engaged in a fierce battle. He had originally thought that he could kill the other party in an instant, but he had never imagined that the other party's strength had already exceeded his understanding. Was this the strength that a primal chaos domain cultivator should possess? If he hadn't experienced it himself, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. Let's not talk about other people's opinions. Even he himself despised himself a little. Boom. 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 But one had to admit that Longao was strong indeed. To think that he could take on a life and death warrior head-on. The biggest reason was that the two Daos that Longao had comprehended earlier on were the strongest Daos. Furthermore, they were supported by the Chaos Axe. But Longao knew clearly that he wouldn't be able to hold on for long with his current strength. If this went on, he wouldn't be a match for Che Yuan. The formation that Che Yuan had set up was extremely strange. It could lock him into his chaotic dantian. In other words, unless he wanted to leave, he wouldn't be able to enter his chaotic dantian. No matter how much he thought about it, he never expected that Che Yuan would do this to him. It was truly a miscalculation. Trying to leave. Seeing that the other party was trying to leave, Che Yuan couldn't care less about his face. He activated the formation and attacked Longao madly. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't even be able to last 3 minutes against such a horrifying formation. Only Longao laughed coldly. Longao had already reached a high level of attainment in the study of formations. Therefore, it was impossible for Che Yuan to kill him with the help of his formation. The more he fought, the more shocked and incredulous he felt. Be it in terms of strength or formations, the other party had already reached an extremely high level. It was hard to imagine that if this person was given enough time to grow, even Che Yuan wouldn't be able to take him down. Che Yuan was afraid now. A talent like this was enough to reign supreme in the chaos world. He attacked even more madly. After an hour, even Longao was starting to falter. But thankfully, Xiao He and the others were sneak attacks, keeping Che Yuan busy. Is this a strange flame? Feeling the power of the other party's attack, Che Yuan instantly guessed that this flame was most likely the legendary deviant flame. He just didn't know what kind of deviant flame the other party possessed. After all, there were 23 types of deviant flames in the primal chaos realm. But no matter what kind of strange flame it was, the temptation was there. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't greedy. Che Yuan couldn't wait to get this strange flame. Che Yuan was completely flabbergasted. Because he'd never imagined that Chen Shi didn't just possess one type of flame, he even possessed a second type. What sort of concept was that? He was very surprised. He knew that if he could get two strange flames, it would be a great help to his strength and formation. It would be a lie to say that he didn't want it. However, Che Yuan didn't dare to touch the strange flame. Although he had never seen a strange flame, he had heard all kinds of legends about it. If he touched it, he would probably ignite himself. He didn't want to be burned to death by a strange flame. Just like that, both of them were apprehensive and the battle entered a stalemate. However, Che Yuan wasn't worried at all. In any case, the other party was in his formation. He had the complete initiative in this battle. The most important thing was to successfully kill the other party and take the two strange flames. This time, he was the most important. At first, Che Yuan didn't want to come. After all, this was a matter between the Black and White Elders. However, the result was far beyond his expectations. He never thought that he would be able to encounter two types of mystical flames. It was simply a pleasant surprise. At this moment, Che Yuan didn't have the slightest regret. Instead, he was extremely excited. How could Longao not know what Che Yuan was thinking? If he didn't know, he wouldn't have summoned the heavenly devil flame and Xiao Hua to help him. This was the effect he wanted. Chapter 3202. As time continued to pass, Che Yuan began to realize that something was wrong. If this went on, what would happen to his reputation if he couldn't kill the other party? Was he really going to ask for help from the Black and White Elders? If it was something else, Che Yuan wouldn't do this. Only this matter. If he didn't summon the Black and White Elders, it would be difficult to kill this person. However, Che Yuan had his own selfishness. If the Black and White Elders knew about this, the two heavenly flames would definitely be known by the old ancestor. At that time, it would be impossible for him to monopolize the two heavenly flames. How could he be willing? In the end, Che Yuan chose to give up. The meaning was simple. He wanted to kill this person alone and monopolize the two heavenly flames in his hands. If it was something else, he definitely wouldn't fight with the old ancestor. Only the heavenly flames were too tempting. Che Yuan was almost certain that once the old ancestor found out that the other party had two types of deviant flames, he would definitely take them for himself. At that time, not to mention obtaining two types of deviant flames, it would be unknown if he could even obtain one type of deviant flame. It wasn't an unknown, it was simply impossible. Under the continuous attacks, Longao also began to gradually be unable to withstand it. This couldn't go on. What should he do? If it was just facing Che Yuan, it would be fine. With his chaotic dantian, he could leave whenever he wanted. But the situation now was obviously different. The other party had set up a formation that could imprison his body and prevent him from entering his chaotic dantian. Under such circumstances, it would be difficult for him to leave smoothly. He had to leave as soon as possible. Longao was very clear that the current situation was too passive for him. Once the Black and White Elders attacked him at the same time, he would be in big trouble. He had to leave as soon as possible. Outside the formation, several hours had passed, but the Black and White Elders still hadn't seen Che Yuan come out with the other party's body. Could there be an accident? It was a bit ridiculous. After all, Che Yuan's strength and formation skills were there. It was more than enough to deal with a small chaotic domain warrior. If there was an accident, Che Yuan would have come out long ago. Why wait until now? In that case. Then what was going on? He couldn't figure it out. He really couldn't figure it out. What should we do now? Why don't we go in and take a look? There can't be any accidents. Otherwise, not to mention our face, just the demon palace can't afford to lose face. Thinking of this, the Black and White duo did not continue to wait. With a stride forward, they instantly disappeared from the array. What's going on? Both the Black Elder and the White Elder were completely shocked when they saw the two people fighting. They had never thought that Che Yuan would still be unable to finish off his opponent. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed it even if they were beaten to death. The two of them were well aware of Che Yuan's strength. He was the strongest person under primal chaos reincarnation. Otherwise, the two of them wouldn't have been so afraid of him. They wouldn't have been afraid of Che Yuan's constant provocations. Apart from having a spatial artifact, the other party's strength was nothing to worry about. It was just the primal chaos domain. The difference between the chaos domain and the chaos life and death was too great. The two were not on the same level at all. The two of them didn't know what was going on. However, their expressions changed abruptly because they saw the two mysterious flames in each other's hands at the same time. They knew better than anyone else what mysterious flames meant. Seeing the Black and White Elders suddenly appear, Che Yuan was shocked. Of course, he knew what it meant for the Black and White Elders to see the two deviant flames. He was originally full of confidence that he could smoothly kill the other party and obtain the two deviant flames. It was a pleasant surprise. But he never thought that not only did he fail to kill the other party, but the Black and White Elders would also rush over. In this way, it would be impossible for him to keep the two deviant flames to himself. He would definitely give them to the old ancestor. How could he not be angry? But what could he do in this situation? Even if he was unwilling, he wouldn't dare to snatch the two deviant flames from the old ancestor. Since the two of them were already here, he would join forces to deal with this person. This person has the help of two deviant flames. It's very troublesome. Let's attack together. Attack together? The black and white elders looked at each other and saw the helplessness in each other's eyes. They were genuine primal chaos, life and death. If they joined forces to deal with this person, where would their dignity go? Until now, the two of them still couldn't understand. Even if this person had the help of two deviant flames, he was still in the primal chaos domain. How could he fight against Che Yuan? However, as members of the Devil Palace, the two of them were almost certain that Che Yuan wouldn't betray them no matter what. Just at this moment, Longao suddenly spoke up. Che Yuan, the two of them have already fallen for it. Let's join forces and get rid of them quickly. By then, you and I will each get one of the deviant flames. If it were anyone else from the Devil Palace, the black and white elders would definitely not have doubted it. But Che Yuan was the only one who had a grudge with them to begin with. Coupled with the temptation of the two deviant flames, the two of them chose to believe him. Whether or not they were being selfish, no one else other than the two of them would know. Che Yuan, so you're a traitor. Today, the two of us will help the old ancestor clean up the sect. They didn't give Che Yuan any chance to speak. If they could kill Che Yuan at the same time as they killed the other party, it would be killing two birds with one stone. The two of them even decided that they would each keep one of the deviant flames and not hand it over to the old ancestor. Every man for himself, and the devil takes the hindmost. Everyone would be selfish. Che Yuan was no fool. How could he not understand the intentions of the black and white elders? His heart was filled with rage. Endless killing intent. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Che Yuan laughed out maniacally. With a domineering aura, he roared out madly, "Black and white, you two shameless things. You want to use this chance to deal with me? Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. Just the two of you? I'll kill you both today. Ha 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 ha." Che Yuan was full of confidence. Even if he were to face the black and white elders at the same time, he wouldn't be afraid at all. Especially in the formation that he had set up. If he could use this chance to kill the black and white elders, it would be a pretty good thing. Looking at the situation, Longao's heart leaped with joy. Seemed like the Heaven Devil Flame's guess was right. There was a barrier between the two of them. He had succeeded in sowing discord this time. P.S. I recommend Watermelon Cow God's latest masterpiece, Dragon Blood Berserk Master. It's very hot-blooded. Go check it out. Chapter 3203. They had succeeded in sowing discord. Both black and white were already attacking Che Yuan madly. The both of them did not care about the other party at all. In their eyes, as long as they could kill Che Yuan, dealing with this person would be a piece of cake. In the blink of an eye, the three of them were already engaged in a life-and-death battle. It was obvious that they wanted to kill each other. Looking at the three of them fighting, Longao was elated. This was the effect he wanted. The best outcome. Both sides would be severely injured. No matter who won or lost, he could just sit back and reap the benefits. He did not try to leave either. Longao was no fool. He knew that if he were to make any movements, he would definitely attract the attention of the three of them. If they were to join forces against him instead of fighting each other, then he would have dug his own grave. He stood where he was and watched silently. The battle escalated continuously. Both sides were giving it their all. By the end, the entire formation was shaking. The strength of black and white was there for all to see. Any one of them might not be a match for Che Yuan. But if black and white were to join forces, it would be a different story altogether. An hour later, there was a loud explosion. It rang through the 9 heavens and shook the clouds. The three of them were sent flying, each of them severely injured. Of course, the three of them knew what it meant for them to be severely injured. When the snipe and the clam fought, the fisherman would reap the benefits. Things were bad. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Boss, seems like we've gotten lucky this time around. Not only black, but even Longao was laughing out. Indeed, what they had hoped for had come. You. Without waiting for Che Yuan to speak, Longao had already attacked. With the help of Xiao Hei and the others, killing the three of them was not a difficult task. It was effortless to kill the three of them. From the start till the end, The three of them had not expected this to be the outcome. But now, they did not even have the chance to regret. Longao did not devour the powers of the three of them. He gave all of it to Black and White. Devouring the powers of the three life and death chaotic beings, Black and White benefited immensely. Boss, what about the corpses of the three? Same as before. If it had been anyone else, they would not have dared to do such a thing even if they were given 10,000 guts. Only Longao was fearless. Since he dared to kill the three of them, he was already prepared to go all out against the Devil Palace. However, now that Xiao Chen thought about it, even if he did not kill those three, he would still be at odds with the demonic palace. It was either you die or I die. Have you heard? The three chaotic life and death warriors of the demon palace have all been killed by the mysterious rogue martial artist. Even Che Yuan did not escape. Ah! Everyone who heard the news turned pale with fright. They couldn't believe it at all. It was just that the corpses of the three chaotic life and death martial artists had been hung outside the demon palace camp. Many people had seen this, and even if they didn't want to admit it, the truth was right in front of them. They had no choice but to believe. He was truly a madman. At first, everyone had thought that the other party was only a chaotic domain warrior. Not to mention facing three chaotic life and death realm warriors at the same time, even one of them wouldn't be a match for the other party. But what was the result? Facing three chaotic life and death experts at the same time, this person directly killed all of them, not leaving a single one alive. What did this mean? It meant that this person was also a chaotic life and death expert, and a super expert at that. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to kill the three of them at the same time. The other two elders aside, only Che Yuan was known as the number 1 formation master of the Chaos Domain. Many people didn't know Mo Wutian's formation skills, so everyone in the Chaos Domain recognized Che Yuan as the number 1 formation master. The number 1 formation master and the two elders were actually not a match for the enemy. Many people began to speculate that this rogue martial artist was very likely a chaotic reincarnation realm warrior. If that was the case, the Demon Palace was in big trouble this time. Pill Hall. When Han Yun heard Han Feng's report, his expression changed again and again. He sighed and said, Longao is really strong. He actually killed 3 chaotic life and death experts at the same time, including Che Yuan. Previously, the old ancestor told me not to interfere, but I didn't believe him. I didn't expect Longao to really do it. Han Feng was also amazed. He said in shock, Father, Longao killed Che Yuan and the other two. If nothing unexpected happens, Mo Wutian will definitely not let this matter rest. The current Longao hasn't recovered to his peak strength. How can he be a match for Mo Wutian? You don't have to worry about this. After thinking for a while, Han Yun continued, the old ancestor said before that Longao and Mo Wutian have fought countless times. Mo Wutian can't do anything to Longao, so you don't have to worry about Longao's safety. Han Feng was just asking. How could he be worried about Longao's safety? The fact that Longao was able to become a chaotic reincarnation realm warrior in his previous life was already proof enough. It was just that Han Feng couldn't figure out the reason why Longao could kill 3 people. After all, the current Longao hadn't recovered to his peak. Wanting to kill 3 chaotic life and death experts in the chaotic domain was simply nonsense. No matter how he thought about it, he couldn't figure out what was going on. Father, little Yin really did it this time. Waving his hand, before Han Feng could finish, Han Yun said, it's still unknown what will happen in the future. What's going on? Han Feng didn't understand. No matter who it was, they would be satisfied with Longao's performance. With a deep sigh, Han Yun said helplessly, according to the old ancestor, Longao's talent was extraordinary. Not only was he the number 1 person in the chaotic reincarnation realm, he even created the 9 revolution chaos technique. Back then, he only broke through the 7th revolution of the 9 revolution chaos technique and reached the peak of the chaotic reincarnation realm. You can imagine if he could break through the 8th or even the 9th revolution. Han Yun didn't continue, but the meaning in his words was clear. Many chaotic reincarnation realm warriors are thinking about Longao. You should be able to imagine that Longao won't have a good life in the future. How could Han Feng not understand the meaning in his father's words? He said helplessly, "Don't tell me you want to separate little Yin and Longao?" Han Feng liked Longao very much. He was also willing to give his sister to Longao. However, he knew that if his father didn't agree, everything else would be nonsense. Han Yun shook his head and said, "I won't agree or disagree. I'll let them develop. As for how far they will go in the future, it will depend on Longao." Chapter 3204. Looking at the three corpses in front of him. Mo Wutian's face was extremely gloomy, as ugly as it could get. Chaotic Samsara warriors were not cabbages that could be found on the street. Not to mention losing 3 chaotic life and death experts at the same time, even losing one of them was an unacceptable fact for the Devil Palace. 3 chaotic Samsara warriors had died at the same time, including Che Yuan. Mo Wutian had placed great importance on Che Yuan. In the beginning, Mo Wutian had always thought that the one who dealt with Demon Palace was Longao. But from the looks of it now, it seemed a little unlikely. Although Longao was a primal chaos reincarnation realm martial artist, he could only recover to the primal chaos domain realm at the fastest speed. Not to mention killing Che Yuan and the other 2 at the same time, it was unknown if he could even contend against one of them. Ancestor, could this person be a primal chaos reincarnation realm martial artist? How could Mo Wutian not know what Mo Wufeng meant? If he's a primal chaos reincarnation cultivator, he won't just be able to deal with Che Yuan and the others. Even the entire Devil Palace won't be his match. Mo Wutian was almost certain that this was not the work of a Samsara warrior. There was no doubt about it. "Old ancestor, what do you mean?" "That's right. If I'm not wrong, this person should be a Samsara warrior, and an array master." Mo Wufeng thought for a while, then nodded in agreement. Mo Wufeng's face was very ugly. As the palace master of Demon Palace, he placed great importance on the benefits of Demon Palace. He was completely different from Mo Wutian, who could sacrifice the entire Demon Palace for cultivation. To lose 3 Samsara warriors at once, it would be a lie to say that it did not hurt. Under such circumstances, compared to the other 2 superpowers, Demon Palace was clearly behind. After all, the loss of 3 Samsara warriors was a huge blow to Demon Palace. "Old ancestor, what should we do now?" "This person's strength is not to be underestimated. He should be the strongest warrior under the Samsara realm. I'm just 1 step away from returning to my peak, so I'll do my best to break through." "Old ancestor, how long will it take?" 3 years. Only 3 years. To a chaotic martial artist, 3 years was not a long time. It was a period that passed in the blink of an eye. Mo Wufeng was overjoyed. He knew very well what it meant for the old ancestor to break through to the primal chaos reincarnation state. As for how to deal with this person, there was no one in the entire Devil Palace who was a match for him, including the old ancestor. Being able to kill Che Yuan and the other 2 at the same time was enough to explain everything. Now, it was up to the old ancestor. This was delayed for 3 years. As long as the other party did not attack the Devil Palace within 3 years, everything would be fine. After killing Che Yuan and the other 2, Longao did his best to help Xiao He and the others recover. This time, it devoured the power of Che Yuan and the others. Blackie and the rest had recovered well, and all of them had reached the primal chaos domain. They were not much different from Longao, and were only 1 step away from breaking through the primal chaos life and death realm. This step. It could be said to be both simple and difficult. "Boss, if all of our cultivation bases can recover to the chaotic Samsara realm, we'll be able to roam the primal chaos realm unhindered as long as we don't meet any primal chaos Samsara realm martial artists." How could Longao not know what Blackie meant? "Yen, it's just that it's not easy to comprehend the Tao of life and death. Boss, I have a way to let you recover to the chaotic Samsara realm as soon as possible." "What way?" Hearing that the heavenly tranquil devil flame had a way to let him recover to the chaotic Samsara realm, Longao asked impatiently. Not only Longao, but even Blackie and the others were impatient. Only when one's cultivation base recovered to the chaotic Samsara realm could they work towards the chaotic Samsara realm. Therefore, the chaotic Samsara realm was the key. Apart from this, Given his current strength, he could only rely on the power of the array formation to kill a chaotic samsara martialist. Otherwise, it wouldn't be easy to kill a chaotic samsara martialist. Once his cultivation base broke through to the chaotic samsara realm, coupled with Blackie and the others, he would be able to easily kill any chaotic samsara realm martial artist. Boss, you've already obtained 13 types of mysterious flames. Although you haven't gathered all 23 types, you're already the number 1 person in the primal chaos realm. Longao did not say anything and just listened quietly. Of course, he knew that there were 23 types of mysterious flames in the primal chaos realm. He had successfully obtained 13 of them. This was absolutely unprecedented in the primal chaos realm. However, Longao still could not figure out what the 13 types of mysterious flames had to do with him being able to break through to the chaotic samsara realm. Heavenly Tranquil, if you have something to say, just say it. You're making me want to die. Doughtai had a gloomy face. They might have been enemies before, but no matter what, they now had a boss. Therefore, no matter what happened in the past, their relationship was very harmonious now. The Heavenly Tranquil Devil Flame smiled and said, "Boss, apart from the chaotic flame, the remaining 12 types of mysterious flames can help you fully comprehend the Tao of life and death. You can do that." This was something unheard of. If not for the Heavenly Tranquil Devil Flame's words, Longao would never have thought that he could rely on mysterious flames to comprehend the Tao of life and death. In that case, he only needed to comprehend the Tao of life and death from one mysterious flame. Why would he need to comprehend 12 mysterious flames at the same time? As if he could guess what Longao was thinking, the Heavenly Tranquil Devil Flame smiled and said, "Boss, a single mysterious flame cannot help you comprehend the Tao of life and death unless you have more than 10 types. Not only that, as long as you can rely on our power to comprehend the Tao of life and death, you can not only reach the chaotic samsara realm, but also possess supreme firepower." Longao was still confused and did not know what it meant. However, according to the Heavenly Tranquil Devil Flame, he would naturally understand everything when he comprehended the Tao of life and death with the help of the 12 types of mysterious flames and broke through to the chaotic samsara realm. In fact, after thinking about it, he felt relieved. Any one of the 12 types of heavenly flames was a supreme existence. The Tao of life and death that he comprehended with the help of the 12 types of mysterious flames was definitely different from other chaotic samsara realm experts. The more this was the case, the more Longao looked forward to it. He could not wait to start comprehending the Tao of life and death with the help of the mysterious flames. "Boss, if you're willing, we can immediately start comprehending the Tao of life and death." Chapter 3205. How could Longao not be willing? Longao was more anxious than anyone else to comprehend the Tao of life and death, especially now that he had completely fallen out with Mo Wutian. In addition, Nangong Yin and godly mathematician. Without the slightest hesitation, Longao began to comprehend the Tao of life and death. Inside the chaotic Dantian, the 12 types of heavenly flames surrounded Longao. There was no need to mention Xiao Hua and the heart-burning lotus. As for the rest of the heavenly flames, they were all controlled by the heavenly demonic flame. "Boss, why don't you take advantage of this opportunity to completely master the flame of chaos?" Even the heavenly demonic flame did not have any understanding of the flame of chaos. Of the 23 types of heavenly flames in the chaos realm, the flame of chaos was ranked first. No one had ever seen the flame of chaos. They had only heard of it in the legends. The flame of chaos was the earliest power born in the chaos realm. It could destroy the world and even the entire chaos realm. They had never seen it before, let alone master it. Nodding. How could Longao not know what the heavenly demonic flame meant? He smiled and said, "With the help of the chaos tree, there won't be any problems." The chaos tree was the number 1 divine object in the chaos realm. It was with the help of the chaos tree that Longao was not worried at all. Longao immediately added the flame of chaos into the camp. With the chaos tree beside him, he began to comprehend the Tao of life and death with all his might. Longao could be considered the first person to comprehend the Tao of life and death from the heavenly flames. With the help of the 13 types of heavenly flames and the chaos tree, Longao was also looking forward to seeing how much his strength would increase after comprehending the Tao of life and death. The 9 revolutions chaotic realm had a total of 4 great abilities in the 7th revolution. Now, Longao had successfully comprehended the peak of the second ability, 9-9 return to 1, Tao annihilation. Longao had never expected that. This time, he had not succeeded in comprehending the Tao of life and death with the help of the heavenly flames, but he had successfully comprehended the third ability, domain restriction. 9 heavens domain restriction. Under normal circumstances, who knew how long it would take to improve? But now, 1 level 1 heaven. In just 9 days, he had already successfully comprehended the 9 heavens domain restriction. What concept was this? On the 10th day, Longao had already comprehended the peak of the third restriction, which was the 9-9's return to 1, the cage. He was only 1 step away from comprehending the fourth mystique. Longao was pleasantly surprised to the extreme. To him, this was simply a huge surprise. He did not continue comprehending. If he wanted to continue comprehending the fourth divine ability, reincarnation, it was impossible with his current cultivation. At the very least, he would have to break through the chaotic life and death realm. Strictly speaking, the chaotic life and death realm was divided into 2 stages, the initial stage and the peak stage. He was still unable to comprehend the Tao of life and death. In the beginning, the heavenly demonic flame was still full of confidence. However, as time passed, even the heavenly demonic flame began to doubt it. He really didn't have much confidence. What was going on? He couldn't figure it out. He really couldn't figure it out. Even if he couldn't comprehend the Tao of life and death, Longao didn't choose to give up. Since he had already started comprehending it, he might as well continue comprehending it and see what he could comprehend in the end. The killing of 3 chaotic life and death realm experts of the Demon Palace, including the legendary number 1 array Master Che Yuan, had completely shaken the 99 heavens of the chaotic realm. Everyone was deeply shaken. Ever since the chaotic realm had stabilized, such a thing had never happened. Chaotic life and death realm experts were not ordinary experts. They could be killed whenever they wanted to. Every chaotic life and death realm expert was a high and mighty existence in the chaotic realm. They were the strongest under the chaotic reincarnation realm. Under normal circumstances, the Demon Palace had lost 3 chaotic life and death realm experts all of a sudden. If it were other forces, even if they wanted to find trouble, it would be nonsense. To be able to kill 3 chaotic life and death realm experts, even if they weren't of the chaotic reincarnation realm, they were still the strongest among the chaotic life and death realm experts. Unless the chaotic reincarnation realm could suppress them, no one else could do it. However, the Demon Palace's situation was completely different. As one of the 3 superforces, everyone knew that the old ancestor of the Demon Palace, Missouri Wutian, was a chaotic reincarnation realm expert. As long as this old ancestor personally took action, killing the other party was a simple matter. But the result? Not only did the Demon Palace not take revenge, but they also retreated and continued to fight with the other 2 superforces. However, they were obviously not as bold as before. It could be said that the fall of 3 chaotic life and death realm experts was a great loss for the Demon Palace. Nangong Yin and Master Godly Mathematician were still locking onto the channels of the Starry Sky Plane. However, the 9 chaos channels had been completely destroyed. The 2 didn't even know if Longao had entered the Starry Sky Plane or remained in the chaotic realm. The more they thought about it, the more anxious they became. The 2 were most worried that if Longao had entered the Starry Sky Plane, as time passed, once the other party recovered his chaotic reincarnation realm, they could imagine what the result would be. When Longao created the 9 revolution chaos mantra and wielded the chaos axe, he swept through the chaotic realm. Almost no one was his match. This was the real reason why everyone was afraid of Longao. It could be said that back then, Longao was known as the strongest person under the Tao confirming realm. One could imagine how difficult it was for Longao's strength. Yi Bu, can you lock onto it? Nangong Yin couldn't wait to tear Master Godly Mathematician into pieces, but the current situation didn't allow him to do so. After all, in the entire chaotic realm, apart from the people of the Starry Sky Plane, Only Yi Bu and Yi Dugu knew the location of the starry sky plane. Moreover, with Master Godly Mathematician's strength, it wouldn't be easy to kill him. The most likely result of forcefully taking action was that both sides would suffer. Doing so would not be good for the divine mathematician, nor would it be good for himself. In fact, the sandpiper and the clam would fight, and the fisherman would reap the benefits. In the end, the other people would be the ones to benefit. Master Godly Mathematician's face was extremely gloomy and he said with an ugly expression, Longao completely destroyed the 9 chaos channels to prevent us from locking onto them. It's too difficult to lock onto the position of the starry sky plane. It wasn't just difficult, it was almost impossible. There were countless starry sky planes in the chaotic realm. Perhaps even Nangong Yin and Master Godly Mathematician didn't know how many starry sky planes there were in the chaotic realm. Was it possible to lock onto the starry sky plane where Longao's family was located? It was completely nonsensical and almost impossible. How could Nangong Yin not understand the meaning of Master Godly Mathematician's words? It was precisely because he understood that his face became more and more gloomy and ugly. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. This time, he had really tried to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. Chapter 3206. Then what should we do now? Are we just going to sit here and wait for death? He was very afraid of Longao. In the entire Chaos Realm, the person they feared the most was undoubtedly Longao. Not to mention Nangong Yin, Master Godly Mathematician also knew what it meant once Longao recovered his strength. Now, there is only one way to lock onto the starry sky plane. Hearing Yi Dugu's words, whether it was Master Godly Mathematician or Nangong Yin, both of them were overjoyed and asked in unison, what way? As long as Father and Senior Nangong both succeed in confirming their Tao, then it shouldn't be difficult to lock onto each other's location. F***ck Nangong Yin directly cursed. Nangong Yin thought that Yi Dugu would have a good idea, but he never expected that the other party would only come up with such a method. Master Godly Mathematician wished he could slap this idiot to death. Are you out of your mind? If we can succeed in confirming our Tao, do we still need to lock onto the starry sky plane? Once they succeeded in confirming their Tao, who would be their opponent? Before confirming their Tao, Longao could only be regarded as a joke. The problem now was that they couldn't confirm their Tao. Yi Dugu was shocked. He could clearly sense the killing intent from his father and Nangong Yin. Father and son. Ever since his father awakened his primordial spirit, their father-son relationship had been broken. As long as he did something wrong, he believed that his father would kill him mercilessly. Yi Dugu had no doubts about this. It was precisely because of this that Yi Dugu began to have his own plans. Following his father like this was not a solution. Sooner or later, he would die without a burial place. Seeing Yi Dugu not speak, Master Godly Mathematician fiercely glared at him and coldly continued, don't talk nonsense in the future. Yes, father. Nangong Yin suppressed the anger in his heart and said, Yi Bu, the current situation is very unfavorable for us. We can only rely on luck. I hope that Longao is still in the Chaos Realm. If Longao was not in the Chaos Realm but in the starry sky plane, then they would have no hope. Master Godly Mathematician still didn't speak. Father, can I say a few words? Endless anger. However, before Yi Bu could say anything, Nangong Yin said, go ahead. Since Nangong Yin had already spoken, the divine mathematician could only tacitly agree. Father, Senior Nangong, you may not know this, but back then, I interacted with Longao for a period of time. I don't know about the others, but I have full confidence in Longao. He will definitely stay in Chaos Realm. Yi Dugu had full confidence in this. He was overjoyed. The two of them were not fools. If Yi Dugu did not have full confidence, he would not be so sure. Inside the chaotic Dantian, Longao was still fully immersed in comprehending the path of life and death. However, a year had passed in the blink of an eye, yet he still hadn't succeeded in comprehending any path of life and death from the 13 types of essence flames. He sighed deeply. Longao slowly opened his eyes, his face filled with helplessness. Big brother, what's going on? Tianyu, Your thinking is a little too simple. Not to mention that there are only 13 types of essence flames now. Even if I can gather all 23 types of essence flames, I can't use the essence flames to comprehend the path of life and death and reach the chaotic life and death realm. Longao was not too surprised about this. Then we're just going to give up like this? Longao shook his head and said with a smile, although I can't use the essence flames to comprehend the path of life and death, as Qianyu said before, I've already begun to feel a little. If I can completely comprehend it, then I'll have a real essence flame. Big brother, what do you mean? Qianyu demonic flame asked impatiently after hearing his big brother's words. His intuition told him that this matter was definitely not that simple, and there must be something he didn't know. Not only Qianyu demonic flame, but the others were also looking forward to it, wanting to know what was going on. Longao said with a smile, although I've obtained all of your essence flames, even if you recover to your peak, you'll only be in your previous state at most. However, the situation now is different. If I can comprehend your essence flames, then once you recover your original strength, I'll be able to unleash more than 10 times the power when I join hands with you. 10 times? What kind of concept was that? Hearing their big brother's words, everyone was shocked. They had seen powerful people before, but not to this extent. Just thinking about it made them excited. Longao did not continue to hesitate. In this situation, he had to put aside comprehending the path of life and death for now. The most important thing was to comprehend the 13 types of essence flames. Since he had the help of the chaotic tree, he was not afraid of being devoured by the essence flames. Among the 13 types of essence flames, Longao was least worried about the Qianyu demonic flame's backlash. As for the others, including the chaotic flame and Xiao Hua, who knew if they would be devoured by the essence flames. Once they were devoured by the essence flames, they would not even have the chance to regret it. Just like that, Longao continued to comprehend the essence flames. A year's time passed by in the blink of an eye. Together with the previous year, it was a full 2 years. Longao had not taken a single step out of his chaotic dantian, and was fully immersed in comprehending the essence flames. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Looking at the flame symbol that had appeared on his palm, Longao laughed out maniacally. Just as he had guessed, he had already grasped all 12 types of essence flames by now, including Xiao Hua. In other words, all 12 types of essence flames were completely subdued by him. Of course, the Heavenyu demonic flame must have helped him as well. Otherwise, Xiao Hua aside, there was no way Longao would have been able to grasp the other essence flames so smoothly. Out of the 13 types of essence flames, only the chaotic flame had yet to be fully grasped by Longao. This was also the only thing that Longao felt regretful about. Out of the 13 types of essence flames, the chaotic flame was the strongest. If he could fully grasp the chaotic flame, he believed that the power of his comprehension would rise to another level. Regarding this point, Longao had thought about it as well. Towards the chaotic flame, even he did not have a single idea about it. In this life, he had obtained the chaotic flame without knowing anything. However, he knew that the chaotic flame should have something to do with the Chaos Palace. Even though the Chaos Palace had already fused with his chaotic dantian, Longao still believed that as long as the chaotic flame was still within his chaotic dantian, he would definitely be able to fully grasp it one day. But right now was definitely not the right time. The only thing he could do was to wait. He could not force himself to comprehend it. Otherwise, who knew what would happen? Who knew if he might even end up worse off? Chapter 3207. Boss, congratulations. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Longao could not hold back the surprise in his heart. He laughed crazily. This was only 12 types of heavenly flame. If he could comprehend the primal chaos flame, including the remaining 10 types of heavenly flame, he would know how terrifying the heavenly flame he possessed would be. However, it was easier said than done to get the remaining 10 types of strange fire. It would be easy to think about, but it was almost impossible to do it. Even so, Longao was already satisfied. It was impossible for others to even get one of the strange fire, let alone 13 types of strange fire at the same time. The heavenly demonic flame said at this time, "Boss, according to the legend, if 23 types of strange fire can be gathered, it can even destroy a warrior." He nodded. Longao had heard of this legend, but it was just a legend. In the entire chaotic world, who could gather all the strange fire? It was completely nonsense. As if he could guess what his boss was thinking, the heavenly demonic flame smiled and said, "Boss, since you can obtain 13 mysterious flames, then according to my guess, you'll definitely be able to obtain 10 mysterious flames if nothing unexpected happens." What did that mean? Longao was not a fool. How could he not understand the meaning of the heavenly demonic flame's words? Was it possible? Not to mention others, even he didn't believe it. Being able to get 13 types of strange fire was a blessing in itself. Not to mention getting all the strange fire, which was the so-called 23 types of strange fire. You have a way. Heavenly demonic flame, if you have a way to help our boss get the other 10 types of strange fire, tell me quickly. Blackie and the others couldn't wait because they knew very well what it meant if their boss could gather all 23 types of strange fire. "Boss, I know the location of 3 types of strange fire, and I can help you get them. As for the other 7 types, it depends on your luck." Ah! Longao was a little dumbfounded. Of course, he knew what the 3 types of strange fire meant. But one had to know. There were only 23 types of strange fire in the entire chaotic world. Now he had 13 types of strange fire, and there were still 10 types of strange fire left. If he could get 3 types of strange fire, in other words, he would get 16 types of strange fire. The more deviant flames he obtained, the more it would help him. "Tianyu, where are the other 3 deviant flames?" No matter what price he had to pay, he had to obtain the 3 mysterious flames. If it had been in the past, Longao might not have obtained the heavenly flame so intensely. But now, the situation was completely different. Longao had already successfully comprehended the power of the exceptional flame from the 12 types of exceptional flames. He knew very well that every time he comprehended a type of exceptional flame, the power of the exceptional flame he possessed would increase by a little. "Boss, you must know that the locations of these 3 heavenly flames are filled with dangers." At this point, the heavenly demonic flame did not continue, but the meaning of his words was very clear. How could Longao not know what the heavenly devil flame meant? Was he afraid of danger? If he was afraid of danger, Longao wouldn't have come this far. Without even thinking, Longao spoke with determination. "Tianyu, you should know my personality. Tell me, where are the 3 deviant flames?" In Longao's opinion, the 3 heavenly flames should be in 3 different places. If that was the case, if he wanted to obtain the 3 heavenly flames at the same time, he would have to search for them one by one. But the result? The heavenly demonic flame thought for a moment, then finally said, "Boss, all 3 deviant flames are in the same place, so we must plan carefully. We cannot afford to be careless." Longao nodded. He understood the dangers involved. After leaving the Chaos Dantian, Longao immediately followed the heavenly demonic flame's instructions and ran as fast as he could. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Mo Wutian laughed maniacally, his laughter filled with endless joy. He had thought that it would take him 3 years to recover his primal chaos reincarnation. Who would have thought that he would be able to recover to his peak state in just 2 years? It wasn't just him, either. Judah's cultivation had returned to peak chaos reincarnation. What did this mean? With 1 man and 1 beast working together, even if they faced off against a chaos warrior of the same level, they would not have to worry. In fact, they could easily suppress any chaos warrior. "Boss, what should we do now?" According to my guess, if nothing unexpected happens, the person who killed Che Yuan and the other 2 must be Longao. With the current Longao? Judas didn't believe it. Longao was only in the realm of chaos. How could he have killed 3 chaos samsara warriors? It was utter nonsense. Wutian Mo knew exactly what Judas was thinking. I don't know how Longao did it, but I am absolutely certain it was Longao's doing. Judas wanted to say something, but in the end he swallowed his words. He still didn't believe it was Longao's doing. The more he thought about it, the more impossible it seemed. Wutian Mo didn't know why, but he was convinced it was Longao's doing. But the fact that Longao could kill Che Yuan and the others was proof enough that he was strong enough to kill Chaos Samsara warriors. In the past, Wu Tianmo didn't know if he could deal with the Longao, but now things were different. Both he and Judas had returned to their chaos levels. So long as Longao was not at his peak, then Wu Tianmo and Judas together could easily kill the Longao. Of this, Wu Tianmo was confident. "Boss, what should we do now?" "Kill Longao, destroy the Pill Hall and the Domain Rulers Alliance, and take over the Chaos Realm." Judas's face was solemn. "Boss, they won't agree." Of course, Mo Wutian knew what he meant. The old ancestor of the Pill Hall and the Domain Lords Alliance were both primal chaos reincarnation realm experts. If they wanted to destroy the Domain Lords Alliance and the Pill Hall, they would have to kill the two of them. However, it would be difficult to kill two primal chaos reincarnation realm experts. Under normal circumstances, this wouldn't work. But now, if nothing unexpected happens, the other two haven't returned to their chaos levels. This is the best time to deal with them. I won't let this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity slip by. Chapter 3208. As his cultivation base recovered to the primal chaos reincarnation realm, Mo Wutian's ambition grew. Back then, he wanted to dominate the primal chaos realm. However, back then, with Han Wu and Kang Ya's obstruction, he didn't even get a third of the Devil Palace. He was unwilling to accept it. He couldn't verify his Dao for the time being. That was the case. Mo Wutian was prepared to use this opportunity to destroy the Domain Lord Alliance and the Pill Hall, and dominate the entire primal chaos realm. If it was a one-on-one battle, it wouldn't be easy for him to defeat Han Wu or Kang Ya. But now, the situation was completely different. His cultivation base had recovered to its peak state. On the other hand, Han Wu and Kang Ya still hadn't recovered to their peak state. Plus, he had Zhu Ying's help. Under such circumstances, it shouldn't be difficult to deal with the two of them. If he chose to give up, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. He did as he said. The Devil Palace that had lost 3 primal chaos life and death realm experts had started to reduce the number of battles. But what was the result? For some reason, the Devil Palace seemed to have gone crazy. They suddenly started to attack the Domain Lord Alliance and the Pill Hall crazily. Compared to before, their attacks were doubled. What was going on? No one knew why the Demon Palace would suddenly act so crazily. At this moment, the Devil Palace was like a mad dog. Under such crazy attacks, both the Domain Lord Alliance and the Pill Hall were slowly pushed back. If this continued, the result would be obvious. Longao couldn't care less about the battle between the 3 superforces. He focused all his attention on the 3 types of mysterious flames. If he could obtain the 3 types of mysterious flames, the power of the mysterious flames he comprehended would be able to reach a higher level. Tianyu, the 3 types of mysterious flames you mentioned, which are they? The heavenly quiet devil flame thought for a while and said, "Back then, I also accidentally met the black devil flame that was ranked 4th, the 9 heavens divine lightning fire that was ranked 8th, and the ice fire burning flame that was ranked 6th. He was delighted. Of course, Longao knew what the 3 heavenly flames that the heavenly ghost devil flame mentioned meant. "Boss, after entering the forbidden area, you must be careful. When the crucial moment comes, I will come out to help you." "All right." Longao rushed with his fastest speed according to Tianyu Devil Flame's guidance. Fire Spring Forbidden Area. If not for the heavenly ghost devil flame leading the way, he would not have found this place even if he was beaten to death. According to the Heavenyu Devil Flame, the Fire Spring Forbidden Land was one of the Chaos Realm's forbidden lands. It was very well hidden. Very few people knew that there was such a forbidden area in the Chaos Realm. Fire Bug, the divine beast of the Fire Spring Forbidden Land, never left the Fire Spring Forbidden Land. However, if a human or divine beast were to enter the forbidden area of the Fire Spring, the countless firebugs would devour them in a frenzy. Not even their bones would be left. He had never heard of a fire bug swarm before. However, after thinking about it, he felt relieved. A divine beast that could make even the heavenly ghost devil flame feel apprehensive, just thinking about it, one would know what it meant. Outside the Fire Spring Forbidden Area, Longao took a deep breath. Since he was here, There was no need to hesitate. Under the absolute temptation, danger was not important at all. After all, without danger, there would be no opportunity. He took a step forward. Longao's figure instantly disappeared from the entrance. As soon as he stepped into the fire spring forbidden land, before Longao could even react, countless little bugs had already appeared around him. It was the overlord of the fire spring forbidden land, the fire bug swarm. The fire bug was about the size of a fist, and its entire body was emitting flames. Although its power was not as strong as the heavenly fire, the endless firebugs were constantly covering it. Just thinking about it, one could imagine how terrifying it was. Longao dodged to the side and countered with a counterattack. When he looked around, he saw that the surroundings were densely packed with firebugs. He was startled. No wonder the heavenly demonic flame had repeatedly asked him to consider this carefully. After entering the fire spring forbidden land, not to mention whether he could obtain 3 heavenly flames, just facing such a horrifying group of firebugs made his scalp go numb. Third sacred art, peak forbidden domain, cage. The terrifying power was like a cage, directly covering all the space around. He had a lot of confidence in the sacred art produced by his 9-revolution chaos mantra. Just as expected. Peak forbidden domain, cage descended, and the surrounding firebugs were constantly imprisoned. In this way, Longao was completely one-sided slaughtering. However, there were just too many firebugs around. Even if he kept slaughtering, he might not be able to kill them all. Not to mention, a person's physical strength was always limited. It was impossible to kill endlessly. Once he relaxed a little, he could imagine the consequences. Longao did not dare to have any hesitation. While using the forbidden domain to imprison the firebugs, he slaughtered the firebugs to open a path. As long as he could find the 3 heavenly fires, he could leave the fire spring forbidden land in the shortest time possible. This time, he did not enter the fire spring forbidden land for the firebugs or the forbidden land itself, but for the 3 heavenly fires. Heavenly Ghost, can you lock onto the 3 heavenly fires? Yes, but boss, the firebugs are the natural nemesis of our heavenly fires. It is because of the firebugs that the 3 heavenly fires do not dare to leave casually. So that was it. Longao already knew what was going on. In the end, the reason why the fire spring forbidden land could suppress the 3 heavenly fires was not because of the forbidden land itself, but because of the firebugs. It was hard to imagine that the firebugs were the natural nemesis of the heavenly fires. If the heavenly demonic flame hadn't said it himself, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. After all, there were 23 types of heavenly flames, and each of them was the most terrifying power in the world. Leave the firebugs to me. You focus on locking onto the 3 heavenly fires. Okay. The heavenly ghost devil flame appeared on Longao's shoulder, as if he was very afraid of the endless firebugs that came from all directions, and was afraid that they would swallow him alive. Heavenly fires were not afraid of anything except firebugs. If it was not to help Boss obtain the 3 heavenly fires, he would not have casually stepped into the fire spring forbidden land. The fire spring forbidden land was also a forbidden land for heavenly fires. Among the 23 heavenly fires, except for the primal chaos flame, the other 22 heavenly fires did not dare to step into the forbidden land because the firebugs were the natural nemesis of the 22 heavenly fires. As for whether the primal chaos flame was afraid of the firebugs, it was still unknown. The firebugs in the surroundings were already crazily attacking. Seeing the heavenly ghost devil flame, they acted as if they had seen their prey and attacked even more crazily. However, no matter how powerful their attacks were, they could not break through Longao's domain forbidden divine ability, Pinnacle Cage. This was a complete joke. Longao's domain forbidden divine ability could already kill chaotic life and death realm warriors. How could it not block the crazy attacks of the firebugs? Chapter 3209. Boss, Southeast Direction. Hearing the heavenly demonic flame's words, Longao already knew that the heavenly demonic flame had successfully located the 3 types of mysterious flames. Without any hesitation, Longao blocked the crazy attacks of the surrounding fireflies and began to kill crazily. The fireflies were not afraid of death, like moths to a flame. No matter how many died, there would be more. In just a few dozen minutes, more and more fireflies gathered, as if there was no end to them. Boss, you have to get the 3 types of mysterious flames and leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, the number of fireflies will become more and more terrifying. Less than 1 in 10,000. From this, one could imagine how many fireflies there were in the fire spring forbidden area. The more he thought about it, the more scared he became. The best way was to find the 3 types of mysterious flames as soon as possible. Once he got the mysterious flames, he would leave immediately. At this moment, the Golden Lion Divine Beast's voice entered Longao's mind. Boss, although the fireflies are the nemesis of the mysterious flames, everything has a nemesis. If the mysterious flames can devour the fireflies, then there will be unexpected benefits. Ah! Hearing the Golden Lion Divine Beast's words, Longao was completely dumbfounded. How could he not think of that? He only thought that the fireflies were the nemesis of the mysterious flames, and once the mysterious flames appeared, they would be devoured by the mysterious flames. But he never thought that everything had a nemesis. Although the fireflies were the nemesis of the mysterious flames could also devour the fireflies. Now that he had obtained 13 types of mysterious flames, except for the primal chaos flame, the other 12 types of mysterious flames had not recovered to their peak. If they could devour the fireflies in the fire spring forbidden area, it would be an indescribable benefit for the mysterious flames. It was easy to think about, but it was impossible to actually do it. The fireflies were the nemesis of the mysterious flames. Once the heavenly fire appeared, it would be instantly devoured by the endless amount of fire bugs in the surroundings, not to mention devouring the firebugs. It would then die without a burial ground. But since the Golden Lion Divine Beast said so, then if there was no accident, the Golden Lion Divine Beast should have a way. Golden Lion, do you have a way to let the mysterious flames devour the fireflies? Yes. As expected. Hearing that the Golden Lion Divine Beast really had a way to let the mysterious flames devour the fireflies, Longao was pleasantly surprised. What is it? Longao asked impatiently. Of course, he knew what it meant when the heavenly flame devoured the firefly swarm. Eye of Destruction. Eye of Destruction? Longao wasn't a fool. He instantly knew what the Golden by Divine Beast meant. But would it work? If the Golden Lion Divine Beast was at its peak, using the Eye of Destruction wouldn't be a problem at all. But now, the situation was completely different. Did it hurt you, Miss Jin? Yes, but I don't mind if it can help the heavenly flame devour the firebugs. Jin too could be indifferent, but he couldn't be indifferent. The more the Golden Lion acted this way, the more Longao could not agree. He could not allow the Golden Lion Divine Beast to fall into eternal damnation just for the sake of the strange flame. Boss, although forcefully using the Eye of Destruction has caused me great damage, you should know better than me what it means if the 12 types of heavenly flames devour the firefly swarm. Longao wasn't a fool. Of course, he knew what the Golden Lion Divine Beast meant. He also knew what it meant if the 12 types of heavenly flames devoured the firefly swarm. It was still the same sentence. He couldn't sacrifice the Golden Lion Divine Beast just to let the heavenly flame devour the firefly swarm. It was completely nonsensical. As if it could guess what his boss was thinking, the Golden Lion Divine Beast continued, "Boss, don't waste any more time. I might fall into a deep sleep after using the Eye of Destruction, but it doesn't matter." He sighed deeply in his heart. He couldn't persuade the Golden Lion Divine Beast. But according to the Golden Lion Divine Beast, with his current strength, even if he forcefully used the Eye of Destruction, he couldn't cover the entire fire spring forbidden land. By then, not to mention helping the heavenly flame devour the firefly swarm, he might even be devoured by the firefly swarm. Trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. In order to be foolproof, he had to rely on the help of Blackie and the other chaos beasts. In the next second, the Golden Lion Divine Beast had already activated the Eye of Destruction. With the help of Blackie and the other chaos divine beasts, Longao was still worried. He forcefully activated his chaotic Dantian and started to release the chaos tree. Whether he could do it or not was still unknown. However, the next scene made Longao feel incomparably surprised. The chaotic Dantian started to spin crazily. A huge vortex started to spin crazily. The chaos tree came to the center of the vortex. Under the combination of the two, endless chaotic energy started to surge out crazily. With the help of the chaotic Dantian, the golden lion divine beast's face suddenly lit up. He smiled and said, "Boss, the heavens are on our side. This time, not only can the heavenly flame devour the firefly swarm, it can even help us recover to our peak condition." There was no need for the golden lion beast to say anything. Xiao Hei and the others already knew what had happened. Even Longao did not expect it. He was just trying it out, but he never expected that the primal chaos Dantian and the primal chaos tree would combine and produce an endless amount of primal chaos force. At this moment, Longao had already locked on to the 3 heavenly flames. With the help of the heavenly demonic flame, it only took a few minutes to successfully subdue the 3 heavenly flames. Among the 16 heavenly flames, other than the chaotic flame, the remaining 15 heavenly flames started to devour the firefly swarm crazily. Each of the heavenly flames was extremely surprised. Before this, the firefly swarm was the nemesis of the heavenly flames. No matter which heavenly flame it was, as long as it encountered the firefly swarm, it could only dodge. How could it devour the firefly swarm? But now, with the help of their boss, the impossible had become possible, or even a reality. The 15 types of heavenly flames were devouring the fiery worms in a frenzy. With the help of the chaotic Dantian and the golden centipede's eye of destruction covering the entire fiery Springfield, the 15 types of heavenly flames could devour the fiery worms at will without worrying about being devoured by them. All of you, go out and devour the firefly swarm. I'm about to break through. The heavenly demonic flame and the other 15 heavenly flames naturally knew what their boss meant. Without the slightest hesitation, they all scattered and started to devour the firefly swarm. The golden lion divine beast also devoured the endless chaotic energy and started to crazily break through, hoping to recover to its peak condition. As for Longao, he sat on the ground and also prepared to use the chaotic energy to comprehend the Tao of life and death and break through the chaotic life and death realm. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If they chose to give it up so easily, they wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. Everyone was pleasantly surprised. Chapter 32:10. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. If he were to cultivate under normal circumstances, if he wanted to break through from the chaos domain to the chaos life and death realm, he would probably need hundreds or even thousands of years. But right now, the situation was completely different. In the short span of 3 years, Longao had successfully comprehended the Tao of life and death, breaking through from the chaos domain to the chaos life and death realm. In other words, right now, Longao was a true chaos life and death realm martial artist. What sort of a concept was that? It wasn't just Longao. All the other chaos god beasts, including the golden Hu god beast, had already recovered to the chaos life and death state. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Blackie and the others burst out laughing maniacally. Longao laughed as well. Boss, your chaos Dantian is truly heaven-defying. To think that it could help us recover to the chaos life and death state. How about we work harder and break through the chaos reincarnation state? Longao shook his head. The chaos reincarnation state requires the fusion of life and death to comprehend reincarnation. Right now, it's not the time for us to break through. Blackie and the others were curious, not knowing what their boss meant by that. It wasn't easy for them to grab hold of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If they were to give it up so easily, they wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. It was exasperating. I know what you guys mean. But, I can tell you clearly that at this moment, no matter who it is, do not continue to devour and break through. Do you hear me? Even though Dao Tai and the other chaos god beasts were filled with curiosity and indignance, since their boss had already said so, none of them dared to go against him as they nodded their heads one by one. How could Longao not know what everyone was thinking in their hearts? Indeed, this wasn't the time to break through. If he were to forcefully devour and break through, be it for himself, Blackie, or the others, there would be no benefits at all. In fact, if he wasn't careful, he might even be consigned to eternal damnation. Within the Chaos Dantian, The chaos tree was still spinning wildly in the center of the vortex. An endless amount of chaos power gushed out and covered the entire fire spring forbidden ground. The 15 types of heavenly flames began devouring the firebugs. But there were way too many firebugs. Even if the 15 types of heavenly flames devouring, there was no way they could finish devouring. Longao's face was very solemn. What should he do? Was he going to miss this opportunity just like that? Longao knew very well that it would be a pity to sacrifice the rest of the fireflies if the 15 heavenly flames were unable to continue devouring the fireflies. He absolutely could not miss this opportunity. He gritted his teeth. Boss, you want to refine firebug puppets? Looking at their boss in front of them, everyone was completely stunned. As Longao's cultivation base broke through the chaotic life and death realm, his soul slaves and corpse slaves could be considered to have fused together, creating a puppet. Chaos puppets were far more powerful than soul slaves or corpse slaves. Based on my guess, if nothing unexpected happens, the remote sky flame and the other heavenly flames have already devoured most of the heavenly flames. Continuing to devour won't be of much help to them. Blackie and the others didn't say anything. They just listened quietly. If I am able to successfully refine it, you all should know what it means. Little Hay and the others were not fools. Of course, they knew what would happen if their boss succeeded. Blackie's face was very solemn. He said helplessly, "Boss, although your cultivation base has successfully broken through the chaotic life and death realm, such a huge refinement is still a very difficult task for you. If there is even the slightest mistake," Blackie did not continue speaking. However, the meaning in his words was very clear. Regarding the meaning of Blackie's words, how could Longao not know? Before Longao could say anything, the 15 mysterious flames had all returned. Their faces were all filled with pleasant surprise. The heavenly demonic flame said in pleasant surprise, "Boss, many thanks this time. The devouring flame bug this time is very important to us." They were so excited that they couldn't speak. Before this, even if they were beaten to death, the remote sky demonic flame and the others would never have thought that they would be able to devour the fireflies. Longao waved his hand and said with a smile, "Immediately refine and fuse the fireflies." Okay. Devouring was one thing, refining and fusing was another. Although the remote sky demonic flame and the other heavenly flames had devoured countless fireflies, refining and fusing the fireflies wasn't an easy task. According to Longao's calculations, the remote sky demonic flame and the other heavenly flames would need a very long time to refine and fuse the fireflies this time. However, Longao was also pleasantly surprised. Once the remote sky demonic flame and the other heavenly flames were refined and fused with the fireflies, the remote sky demonic flame and the other heavenly flames would recover their peak strength. It would be a great help to him. Based on the fact that his primal chaos Dantian covered the entire fire spring forbidden land, Longao had a rough idea. Not counting the firebugs that the heavenly demonic flame and the other heavenly flames consumed, there were still more than 100 million firebugs left. What kind of concept was that? Over 100 million fireflies. No matter which heaven it was placed in, if there were no accidents, it would be enough to destroy any heaven. Even the first heaven wouldn't be easy to resist the attack of over 100 million fireflies. If he had enough time, he could completely refine them slowly. It would probably take him 3 to 5 years to complete the refinement. However, the current situation was completely different. He didn't know when his chaotic Dantian would return to normal. Once his chaotic Dantian no longer surged with primal chaos force, not to mention refining fireflies, it would be unknown whether he could leave the forbidden land smoothly. Therefore, not to mention refining over 100 million fireflies, at this time, he would refine as many as he could. As long as he could refine 1/10 of the fireflies, it would be a huge profit. Without any hesitation, Longao immediately used his chaotic Dantian to refine fireflies crazily. Moreover, it was an overload refinement. Under such circumstances, he would refine as many fireflies as he could. The more fireflies he refined, the more help it would be to him. Longao's aura began to crazily cover the entire area. However, it was impossible for him to cover the entire forbidden area of the fire spring. It wasn't a realistic problem either. According to Longao's current strength, he should be able to cover about 1/10 of the area. In this way, as long as Longao succeeded in refining, he would be able to refine 1/10 of the fire bug puppets. That would be equivalent to tens of millions of fire bug puppets. What kind of concept was that? However, doing so would cause Longao a huge backlash. After all, if he wanted to refine all the fireflies, he would need to refine them 10 times. Such an overload was too dangerous. The slightest carelessness would lead to unimaginable consequences. Longao wasn't a fool. He knew better than anyone what the consequences would be. Chapter 32:11. Crazily refining. Longao endured the waves of weakness coming from his body. He only hoped that his chaotic dantian could last a little longer. Even now, Longao couldn't do anything about his chaotic dantian. It could be said that the primal chaos energy in his primal chaos dantian could come and go whenever he wanted. He had no control over it at all. However, Longao's luck wasn't bad this time. An entire year. He succeeded 5 times in a row. The chaotic energy in his chaotic dantian was still surging. Even if he couldn't hold on any longer, Longao still continued to refine. If he chose to give up and leave now, Longao could leave without being attacked by the fireflies. He continued to refine. As Mo Wutian's cultivation returned to Chaos Reincarnation, he began to attack the Domain Lord Alliance and Pill Hall. Not only that, Mo Wutian personally attacked a Chaos Reincarnation warrior. It was obvious what it meant. Han Wu and Kang Ya were only at Chaos Reincarnation. They weren't Mo Wutian's match. Neither of them could have guessed that Wutian Mo and Judas would have returned to the primordial chaos. 2 primordial chaos samsara warriors, even at their peak, would not have been able to defeat Wutian Mo, much less now. Mo Wutian subdued Judas, which was a huge advantage. There was no doubt about it. Han Wu and Kang Ya took their core members and retreated. Demon Palace chased after them and began to destroy the Domain Lord Alliance and Demon Palace. In just half a month, whether it was the Domain Lord Alliance or Pill Hall, they were completely destroyed. The entire Chaos Realm was unified. The Overlord was neither the Domain Lord Alliance nor Pill Hall. It was the weakest Demon Palace. Mo Wutian was pleasantly surprised. He finally dominated the Chaos Realm. The most depressed of them all was Jiyu Hao. Originally, he thought that he would be the one benefiting from the chaotic battle between the 3 superforces and the Snipe and the Clam. But the result? Mo Wutian and Zhu had already recovered to their peak strength. With his current strength, let alone 1 against 2, he wouldn't even be a match for them in a one-on-one fight. He was helpless. In this situation, there was only one way. He had to endure. He had to endure it. He could only bear with it and wait for his cultivation to recover to its peak state. By then, he might be able to turn the tables around. However, if he wanted to continue dominating the chaos world, it wouldn't be as simple as it used to be. The first heavenly region. Mo Wutian had destroyed the Domain Lord Alliance's city and transformed the Pill City into the Demon City, which could be considered the Demon Palace's main base. Inside the huge palace, Mo Wutian's face was as dark as it could get. Old ancestor, I've already given the order to search for Longao's traces everywhere. It's just that it's a little difficult to find a single person in the Chaos Realm's 99 heaven domains. How could Mo Wutian not understand Mo Wufeng's intentions? The Chaos Realm was too big. It was indeed not an easy task to find traces of a person. If it was anyone else, even if it was Han Wu or Kang Ya, it wouldn't matter if he couldn't lock onto them. Because in Mo Wutian's opinion, regardless of whether it was Han Wu or Kang Ya, even if they recovered their peak strength, they wouldn't be a match for him. After all, he had the help of the Candle Shadow Beast by his side. Only Longao's situation was completely different. Longao's talent and strength were far above his. Back then, Longao had even created the 9 Revolution Chaos Mantra. He was only 1 step away from attaining his Tao. Not only that, Longao still had the heaven-devouring beast by his side. Once he recovered his peak strength, he could definitely go against Mo Wutian. In fact, Longao might even be able to suppress Mo Wutian. It was because of this that Mo Wutian was wary of Longao. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something wasn't right. No matter what happened, no matter what price he had to pay, he had to kill Longao. Wufeng, regarding Longao's matter, others might not know about it, but it's impossible that you don't. Therefore, we have to kill Longao. Do you understand what I mean? Mo Wufeng nodded his head. How could Mo Wufeng not understand the intentions of the old master? However, knowing was one thing, and whether or not he could do it was another. This was especially the case for locking onto Longao's location. Mo Wufeng did not know what he should say. Indeed, he could not do it. Even if he were to promise right now, it would be bullshit. He could save himself the trouble of delaying the old master's plans. A single look at Mo Wufeng's face was enough for Mo Wutian to understand. He was equally helpless in his heart. To think that he could not even deal with a single person despite being the overlord of the entire chaos world. This was a humiliation, an immense humiliation. Search for him. Use the entire chaos world's strength to search for him. Mo Wufeng nodded his head. Since things had already come to this, he did not dare to say anything more. He turned around and left immediately. Boss, Longao is still a hidden danger. If we don't get rid of him as soon as possible, we'll definitely be nurturing a tiger in the future. Of course I know that. But I'm sure Longao already knows. I'm at the peak of my power, and as long as he's not an idiot, I'm afraid he's already gone into hiding. Trying to lock onto Longao's location is going to be difficult. Boss, no matter how difficult it is, we have to find traces of this person. Not only that, Han Wu and Kang Ye are also troublesome. The other Chaos Reincarnation Realm experts are wholeheartedly trying to prove their Dao and have no intention of meddling in the Chaos World's overlord position. Only these two people, if nothing unexpected happens and these two people recover their Chaos Reincarnation Realm, they will definitely compete with us for the Chaos World's overlord position. Mo Wufeng nodded his head. Although he didn't think much of these two, it was just as Judas said. Han Wu and Kang Ye were a problem, and it was best to cut the weeds and remove the roots. You're right. Let's go find those two people now and kill them to prevent any future trouble. Judas nodded, and the man and beast left to track down Han Wu and Kang Ye. 2 years later, Longao had already refined 8 firebugs, which was a total of more than 80 million firebugs. Even if he left now, Longao would still have profited. However, his chaotic Dantian was still maintained. There was no need to choose to give up at this time. If he gave up so easily, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. Keep going, keep going. He was still short of more than 20 million firebugs. As long as he could successfully refine the remaining firebugs, he would have 100 million firebug puppet army. When that time came, he would be able to do whatever he wanted in the Chaos Realm. Even the Chaos Samsara warriors would not dare to go against such a terrifying puppet army. The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. And so, Longao gritted his teeth and continued to work on the remaining firebugs. Chapter 32:12. 3 years later, Longao had finally finished crafting all the firebug puppets. He was so tired that he sat down on the ground, panting heavily. His chaotic Dantian had stopped spinning as well. Hundreds of millions of firebug puppets, what sort of concept was that? Boss, can hundreds of millions of firebug puppets defend against a chaos reincarnation martial artist? That was the crux of the matter. Right now, Blackie and the others, including Longao, were all chaos samsara martial artists. They could easily annihilate any chaotic samsara martialist. Once they joined forces, killing a chaotic samsara martialist would be a matter of minutes. That was the reason why. The crux of the matter was whether they could fight against a chaos samsara martial artist. How could Longao not know what Blackie and the others were thinking? If we give up all the firebug puppets, I believe that it should be possible to deal with a chaos samsara martial artist. Whether they could really fight against a chaos samsara martial artist, even Longao did not have full confidence. Boss, what should we do now? Leave the fire spring forbidden grounds. Since they had already successfully crafted the firebug puppets, there was no point in staying in the fire spring forbidden grounds. Longao left at the fastest speed possible. First Heavenly Domain, Longao, who had just returned, had already heard about how Devil Palace had destroyed 2 superforces and taken over the entire Chaos world. He was shocked. Longao had not expected that Devil Palace would destroy the Domain Lord Alliance and Pill Hall. But he had guessed it in an instant. If there were no surprises, the reason why Devil Palace could win was because Mo Wutian and Zhu Ying had already recovered to their peak state, while Han Wu and Kang Wei had not. The key to victory was not the strength or foundation of the sect, but the Chaos Samsara martial artist. If Mo Wutian and Zhu Ying had not recovered to their Chaos Samsara state, and if Han Wu and Kang Wei had recovered, then the outcome would be different. It would not be Devil Palace destroying the Domain Lord Alliance and Pill Hall. It would be the Domain Lord Alliance and Pill Hall destroying Devil Palace. But the truth was the truth. It could not be changed. Longao was worried about the safety of Kang Lin and Han Yin. He did not know how they were doing. The more he thought about it, the more worried he got. The more he thought about it, the more anxious he got. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Just as Longao was about to release his aura to cover the entire first sky to find out where the person he was looking for was, the situation suddenly changed. A man and a beast appeared, laughing maniacally. Longao, you really don't know what's good for you. You actually dared to come here. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. Neither Judas nor Wutian could figure out why Longao had suddenly returned. Was Longao not afraid of death? Or did Longao have something to rely on? In the past, whether or not he and Judas would have been able to kill their foe was uncertain. But now, the situation was completely different. Now that he and Judas were fully restored to their primordial state, dealing with Longao would be a simple task. Mo Wu Tian, I will settle the grudge between us in the future. But for now, I just want to know where Han Yin and Kang Lin are. His intuition told him that Kang Lin and Han Yin should be fine. After all, Han Wu and Kang Wei were still alive. But when he thought about it, it made sense. Even though Han Wu Tian and Kang Wei had lost the position of Overlord, their statuses were still there. Now that both of them had recovered to the peak of the chaotic Samsara realm, they were only a step away from returning to the chaotic Samsara realm. Even if Mo Wu Tian wanted to kill them, it wouldn't be an easy task. Longao, you sent yourself to my doorstep. You can't blame anyone else. There was no reply. Wutian and Judas were already gone. In the next second, Longao was gone. Under the watchful eyes of man and beast, he disappeared without a trace. With a gloomy expression, Mo Wutian said helplessly, the primal chaos palace in Longao's hands is too powerful. Back then, he fused the primal chaos palace into his dantian. No one could lock onto his position, unless they were Dao Vindication cultivators. The more he thought about it, the gloomier his face became. Right now, Longao has only recovered to the primal chaos life and death realm. I believe the primal chaos palace has yet to recover to its peak. This is the best time to kill Longao. If we miss this opportunity, once Longao becomes a primal chaos reincarnation realm martial artist, we will have to continue dealing with him. At this point, Mo Wu Tian didn't continue, but the meaning behind his words was clear. Judas's face was just as gloomy. He didn't know what to do. Longao's Hall of Chaos was too heaven-defying. When they first met, they couldn't pinpoint Longao's location, much less now. He was only one step away from returning to his primordial state. It would be a lie to say he didn't fear it. Once Longao was at his peak, he could continue to cultivate the 8th cycle of the 9 revolutions chaos world. It was easy to imagine what that meant. But one had to know. Longao had reached the peak of the 7th cycle of the 9 revolutions chaos world. He was only one step away from proving his Dao. But Longao had failed to break through to the 8th cycle. Just because he didn't succeed before didn't mean he wouldn't succeed now. If Longao did succeed, the two of them would be his first targets. Just the thought of it was frightening. Boss, what should we do now? Think of a way to deal with the primal chaos palace in Longao's hands. Otherwise, wanting to deal with Longao is simply nonsense. The man and the beast did not continue to stay because they knew very well that there was no point in continuing to stay here under such circumstances. It was better to go back and think of a way to deal with Longao. After the man and beast left, Longao's figure appeared. At this time, there was no need to fight Mo Wu Tian head-on. The most important thing was to find Kang Lin and Han Yin as quickly as possible. Lightning Domain. Ji Yu Hao hid all of his forces in the Thunder Heavenly Domain, because he had already received news that Mo Wutian was preparing to attack the Thunder Heavenly Domain. Thinking about it, it was a very normal thing. After all, the Demon Palace had already occupied the entire Primal Chaos Realm, and only the Thunder Heavenly Domain had not been taken down yet. Ji Yu Hao was not afraid of the Demon Palace, but what he was truly afraid of was Mo Wutian and Zhu Yin. One man and one beast were both genuine primal chaos samsara, and once they attacked, not to mention whether or not he could protect the Thunder Heavenly Domain, whether or not he could survive was an unknown. It would be a lie to say he wasn't afraid. He had to think of a way to deal with Wutian Mo and the Demon Palace. Chapter 32:13. Ji Yu Hao had never thought that things would develop to such a stage. On the second day, Mo Wutian did not come personally. Instead, it was Mo Wufeng who led the army of the Demon Palace. At this time, the Thunder Heavenly Domain had no ability to fight against the Demon Palace. Fighting force with force was a dead end. After so many years of preparation, it was all for naught. Was he going to give up just like that? He was unwilling. In the end, after thinking about it, Mo Wutian still chose to give up and leave the Thunder Heavenly Domain alone. Without a doubt, the Demon Palace had launched a large-scale attack. In just a few days, they had already settled the Thunder Heavenly Domain. Anyone who did not submit would be killed. In front of slaughter, no one was not afraid. Since then, the Demon Palace could be considered to have truly unified the Chaos Realm. The 99 Heavenly Domains. The Divine Mathematician and Nangong Yin, who had just returned, also received the news that the Demon Palace had already dominated the Chaos Realm. Yi Dugu was very curious. He did not know why his father did not fight for the Chaos Realm. Not only his father, even Nangong Yin was not willing to fight for the Chaos Realm. Whether it was the Divine Mathematician or Nangong Yin, the two of them did not care at all about who dominated the Chaos Realm. They only cared about two things. The first was to think of a way to deal with Longao. If they could successfully kill Longao, they would be able to obtain the 9 Revolution Primal Chaos technique. The second thing was to prove the Tao of Primal Chaos. This was the most important thing. Whether it was in the past or in this life, proving the Tao was the most difficult thing to do. You two, why are you here this time? Mo Wutian looked at the 3 people who had suddenly descended. Although the Divine Mathematician and Nangong Yin had not recovered to the Primal Chaos Realm, their identities were still there. However, Mo Wutian also knew in his heart that neither the Godly Mathematician nor Nangong Yin had any intention of dominating the Primal Chaos world. They did not in the past, and they probably did not now. The Divine Mathematician smiled and said, Mo Wutian, don't worry. We will not interfere in this matter. Nangong Yin continued, Mo Wutian, we are here to ask you if there is any news about Longao. Longao? Mo Wutian then remembered that Longao and Nangong Yin also had a grudge. So that was the case. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Furthermore, the two of them had no intention of fighting for hegemony in the Chaos world. Mo Wutian pondered for a moment before recounting everything that had happened. After hearing this, Yi Dugu breathed a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that he had guessed wrong. If he had guessed wrong, he would not be able to bear the consequences. The more he thought about it, the more scared he became. Master God Diviner and Nangong Yin both smiled, feeling pleasantly surprised. It would be best if Longao was in the Primal Chaos Realm. What they feared the most was that Longao had already returned to the Starry Sky Plane. If that was the case, they would have no chance at all. Mo Wutian said helplessly, Gentlemen, I met Longao not long ago. At that time, he had already recovered to the chaotic samsara realm. You should know what Longao means to those of the same realm. Mo Wutian's meaning was clear. The two of them were not fools, so how could they not understand? Chaotic samsara realm? The moment they heard Mo Wutian's words, both of them were taken aback. Naturally, they knew what it meant for Longao to recover to the chaotic samsara realm. After all, even the both of them were only at the chaotic samsara realm. Back then, Longao was the strongest existence amongst those of the same realm. What sort of a concept was that? In other words, right now, Longao had already recovered to the chaotic samsara realm. If they were to face Longao now, whether or not they could defeat Longao was still an unknown. Mo Wutian, now that you've recovered to the chaotic samsara realm, we have a request. Yi Dugu waved his hand. Before Nangong Yin could even finish his words, Mo Wutian chuckled out, as long as I can kill Longao, I'll split the 9 revolutions chaos mantra with all of you. However, if I, Mo Wutian, need any help in the future, would you guys be willing to help me? No problem. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Both Master Godly Mathematician and Nangong Yin burst out laughing. If it were just the two of them alone, there was no way they could deal with Longao. But with Mo Wutian and Zhuing's help, things were a different story altogether. Longao searched high and low for traces of the two girls. Even though he was sure that they were fine for now, the longer he dragged this out, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. He had to find them as soon as possible. Boss, the Chaos world is so big. We don't even know where Han Wu and Kang Wei have gone to. If we continue to search aimlessly like this, not only will we not be able to find them, we might even mess up our vision. Do you guys have any way to lock onto them? How could Longao not know what Dao Tai was trying to say? His concern had messed up his mind. Right now, he had no idea at all. If anything were to happen to Sister Han and Sister Lin, he wouldn't hesitate to pay with his life. Little Black and the others looked at one another. They could see the helplessness in each other's eyes. The more they thought about it, the more helpless they felt. Golden Lion spoke up, "Boss, your concern has messed up your mind. Since we already know that both of them are fine, there's no point in us wasting our time searching. Why don't we think of a way to deal with the Demon Palace? As long as we can suppress Mo Wutian, Han Wu and Kang Wei can return safely." Longao's face was very solemn. Thinking about it, Longao also felt that what the Golden Lion Divine Beast said was very reasonable. If he could suppress the Demon Palace and make Han Wu and Kang Wei come back, then he wouldn't have to waste his effort to find them. Suppressing Mo Wutian wasn't an easy task. After all, Mo Wutian and Zhuing were no longer what they used to be. One man and one beast had returned to the chaos reincarnation state. Even if he joined forces with Little Black and the others, they might not be able to suppress Mo Wutian and Zhuing. This was without a doubt. Mo Wutian's strength is no longer what it used to be. It will be difficult for us to suppress him. Boss, if we rely on our own strength, of course we won't be able to suppress Mo Wutian. But we do have an army of firebug puppets. If we can suppress the Demon Palace, I believe the Domain Lords Alliance and the Pill Hall will be able to develop quickly. Nodding his head, Longao had roughly understood the meaning of Dao Tai and the others. It was just that according to his original idea, he was unwilling to casually use the Firefly puppet army unless it was a last resort. After all, the hundreds of millions of Firefly puppet army was his biggest trump card. But to deal with Mo Wutian, he had no choice but to use his firebug puppets. Only then would he have any hope of suppressing the Demon Palace. Chapter 32:14. Firebug Puppet Army. Longao had only used 1/10 of the tens of millions of firebug puppets to test the strength of the Demon Palace. Now that the Demon Palace had dominated the Chaos world, it was almost impossible to completely destroy the Demon Palace. Longao would not do that. It was not easy to create a firebug puppet army, and he would not choose to destroy it so easily. If his cultivation base could recover to the Chaos Reincarnation realm, then the destruction of the firebug puppet army would not be that important. But now, the situation was different. He had only recovered to the Chaos Life and Death realm, and was no match for a Chaos Reincarnation realm martial artist. 1/10 of the firebug puppets was equivalent to tens of millions of firebug puppets. What kind of concept was that? The moment the firebug puppet army appeared, the Demon Palace was immediately on alert. At the beginning, the Demon Palace did not take the firebug puppet army seriously, but as time passed, the The threat of the fire bug puppet army increased, and the demon palace began to attract attention. This could not go on. In a few short hours, the news of the fire bug puppet army attacking the demon palace had already reached the demon palace. When Mo Wutian and Mo Wufeng received the news, Mo Wutian's face changed. Old ancestor, what kind of mythical beast is the firebug? Mo Wufeng did not know what kind of mythical beast the firebug was, and he did not know why the firebug army would attack the demon palace for no reason. It was simply inconceivable. What was going on? He could not figure it out. He really could not figure it out. Mo Wutian's face was as dark as it could get. After thinking about it, Mo Wutian said in a serious tone, "Wufeng, according to legends, firebugs are the nemesis of deviant flames. If there is anything in the chaos world that can counter deviant flames, it must be the firebug." Hearing the old ancestor's words, Mo Wufeng's face changed. Of course, he knew what the old ancestor meant. Old ancestor, why would the firebug army attack our demon palace for no reason? It was really strange. If there was nothing fishy about it, he would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. Not to mention Mo Wufeng. Even Mo Wutian could not figure out what was going on. No matter how he thought about it, he could not figure it out. Someone must have done this on purpose. If it wasn't Han Wu, then it was Kang Ya, or perhaps it was Longao. Longao? It was complete nonsense for Longao to be able to control such a terrifying firefly army. Mo Wufeng didn't believe it at all. The greatest possibility was still Kang Ya and Han Wu. No matter what. Han Wu and Kang Ya were ultimately primal chaos reincarnation realm martial artists. Even though they had yet to recover to their peak state, primal chaos reincarnation realm martial artists were ultimately still primal chaos reincarnation realm martial artists. If the two of them were able to control the firebug army, it wasn't impossible. Ancestor, what should we do now? Pass down the order. Everyone is to get out of the way. We are not to clash head-on with the Firefly army. How could Mo Wufeng not understand the old ancestor's intentions? Firebugs were able to destroy strange flames. Just thinking about it made one realize what kind of concept it was. A single firefly might not be much, but tens of millions of fireflies were terrifying. If the Devil Palace were to go all out, they could definitely kill off all the fireflies. However, Mo Wutian would not do so. That was because the price to pay to destroy the Firefly army was way too high. Right now, the Devil Palace had just taken over the primal chaos world, and had yet to stabilize itself. If they were to pay the price now, it would definitely not be a good thing for the Devil Palace. The sudden appearance of the Firefly army and the fact that they were attacking the Devil Palace shook the entire primal chaos world. No one knew what was going on. However, many of them could guess that the Firefly army wouldn't appear out of nowhere and attack the Devil Palace. If one were to say that there wasn't something fishy going on, that would be unrealistic. Just what was going on? They were curious, but many of them could not figure out what was going on. Everyone started guessing who it was that was controlling the Firefly army to attack the Devil Palace. Without anyone controlling it, how could they attack the Devil Palace and not anyone else? Longao controlled the Firefly army and started attacking the Devil Palace. However, he did not go all out. He was just testing the waters to see what the Devil Palace's attitude was. After a few tests, Longao gradually realized that the Devil Palace did not dare to fight head-on. In the end, if there were no accidents, the Devil Palace should not want to suffer any losses. After all, the Devil Palace had just taken over the primal chaos world. If the Devil Palace suffered too many losses, it would definitely give the Domain Lord Alliance and the Pill Hall an opportunity. At that time, it would be unknown if the Devil Palace could still maintain its position as the primal chaos world's overlord. As long as the Devil Palace was not stupid, they would definitely not do such a risky thing. Although the Devil Palace had destroyed the Domain Lord Alliance and the Pill Hall, they did not completely destroy the two superpowers. If it wasn't for Mo Wutian and Judas, how could the Devil Palace possibly destroy the Domain Lord Alliance and the Pill Hall? That was indeed the case. Longao guessed that Mo Wutian must be afraid of the Domain Lord Alliance and the Pill Hall's retaliation. Therefore, he did not dare to act rashly. The more this was the case, the more Longao increased his probing. From the initial 10 million firefly insects, it directly increased to 20 million firefly insects. Moreover, the attack power and range of the firefly insects had greatly increased. Devil Palace, Main Hall. Old Ancestor, the number of firefly insects has doubled for no reason. What should we do now? Mo Wufeng's face was very gloomy and as ugly as it could be. He knew very well what it meant to double the number of firefly insects. If the Devil Palace continued to evade them, it was not an ideal situation for the Devil Palace. Mo Wutian was not surprised at all. It was as if he had already expected this result. He sneered and said, "No matter who is controlling the firefly insect army, they must have a plan. If we act rashly now, we will fall into the enemy's trap. It will be very disadvantageous for us." How could Mo Wufeng not understand the meaning of the old ancestor's words? Knowing was one thing, and how to deal with it was another. As the Palace Lord of the Devil Palace, Missouri Wufeng had deep feelings for the Devil Palace. Especially at this time, when the Devil Palace was the overlord of the Chaos Realm, Mo Wufeng naturally hoped that the Devil Palace could maintain its position. Therefore, Mo Wufeng was very nervous when facing the Firefly Insect Army, especially the mysterious person behind the Firefly Insect Army. He had to find this person as soon as possible. Otherwise, it would be a huge problem for the Devil Palace. How could Mo Wutian not know what Mo Wufeng was thinking? After thinking for a while, he said, "Wufeng, pass down my order. No matter what happens, do not face the Firefly Insect Army head-on." Chapter 32:15. The probing was still unsuccessful. Longao smiled. Mo Wutian was really patient. Under normal circumstances, Mo Wutian and the Devil Palace should have done something about it. But the result? They continued to increase their probing efforts. From 10 million fireflies to 20 million fireflies, then from 20 million fireflies to 50 million fireflies. What did 50 million fireflies mean? The Devil Palace had taken a step back time and time again. If this continued, it was obvious what the consequences would be. If this continued, it would not be a solution. Mo Wufeng was helpless. Even if he did not want to continue, he did not dare to give orders on his own accord with the old ancestor's orders. 50 million fireflies. Just thinking about it was enough to send shivers down his spine. More and more Devil Palace disciples were dying, and the number of them admitting defeat was increasing. In just a few days, the Devil Palace had already lost hundreds of thousands of people. If this continued, no one knew how much more they would lose. Old Ancestor, are we really going to continue like this? Start the counterattack. Similarly, Mo Wutian had not expected his opponent's Firefly army to be so terrifying. There were over 50 million of them. It was indeed a terrifying number. If this continued, no one knew what would happen. In desperation, Mo Wutian could only choose to take the initiative. Hearing Mo Wutian's order, Mo Wufeng's face lit up. He immediately went out to make arrangements. The Devil Palace's foundation and strength were not to be underestimated. The situation suddenly changed. The Firefly army of over 50 million began to disappear in a frenzy. What was going on? Seeing the countless fireflies disappear, the Devil Palace was completely dumbfounded. They did not know what the other party was trying to do. They were the ones taking the initiative to attack. Why did they suddenly disappear? They could not figure it out. Mo Wufeng's face was grim. He could not figure out what was going on. Why would the Firefly army disappear all of a sudden? Old Ancestor, is the other party trying to take advantage of this to deal with us? Mo Wufeng's meaning was clear. Previously, the chaotic world was divided into three: the Domain Lords Alliance, the Pill Hall, and the Devil Palace. But now, the Devil Palace was the dominant force in the chaotic world. Therefore, Mo Wufeng could even imagine that the one who wanted to deal with the Devil Palace was either Han Wu or Kang Ya. Wufeng, I can almost say that this is definitely not Han Wu or Kang Ya's doing. Ah! What did the ancestor mean by that? Previously, he had even asserted that this matter was definitely done by Han Wu and Kang Ya. However, the old ancestor said otherwise. He wasn't a fool. Since the old ancestor said so, he definitely had his own thoughts. I've thought about it over and over again. In the entire primal chaos realm, other than Longao, I really can't think of a second person who could do this and dare to continuously provoke the Devil Palace. Longao? How could it be Longao? No matter how he thought about it, he couldn't figure out why it was Longao. It was completely impossible. Ancestor, can Longao control such a terrifying firebug army? He didn't believe it at all. But not just Mo Wufeng, no matter who it was, they wouldn't believe that Longao was the culprit. My intuition tells me that this has something to do with Longao. Ancestor, if this is really Longao's doing, how should we deal with it? Deal with all changes by sticking to the status quo. Mo Wutian sighed. If this was true, then it was truly unbelievable. To think that Longao could actually subdue the Firebug army. The moment the Devil Palace army retreated, the Firebug army appeared once again and launched a frenzied attack. By the time the Devil Palace counterattacked, the Firebug army had disappeared once again. Attack, disappear. Attack again. Disappear again. Over and over again. Mo Wutian and Mo Wufeng did not know what Longao was trying to do. Under normal circumstances, since Longao had such a terrifying Firebug army, he should be able to launch a frenzied attack. Even dividing the primal chaos realm equally wasn't impossible. But the result was that Longao wasn't going against the Devil Palace head-on. Other than Longao himself, no one else knew about this. Although Master Clairvoyant and Nangong Yin had left the Devil Palace, they didn't leave the first sky. This was because they knew that Longao was in the first sky. Before he recovered, they were no match for him. Therefore, they had to rely on Mo Wutian and Judas to deal with Longao. Although they didn't like the situation, they had no other choice. After all, Longao's recovery speed was so fast. If they could recover their cultivation to the Chaos Reincarnation realm, then all of this wouldn't be a problem. The two were helpless. Everything was under their control, but they never thought that in such a short time, the tables would turn and they would be forced into a passive position. Nangong Yin, do you think Wutian Mo is sincere in helping us, or is he just using us? Master Clairvoyant asked with a smile. How could Master Clairvoyant not know Wutian Mo's intentions? But knowing was one thing, and how to deal with it was another. Especially at this time, without Mo Wutian and Judas' help, it wouldn't be easy to kill Longao. Nangong Yin, of course, knew what Master Clairvoyant meant. After thinking for a while, he said, "It doesn't matter what Wutian Mo's intentions are. As long as he can help me kill Longao and get the 9 Revolution Chaos Formula, we only have one goal, and that is to reach the Dao realm. As for the rest, it has nothing to do with us." You're right. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that Wutian Mo isn't that simple. If he kills Longao and takes the 9 Revolution Chaos Formula for himself, it won't benefit us at all. What do you mean? You should know why we haven't been able to recover to the Chaos Reincarnation realm. Why don't we take a risk? If we succeed, then we won't have to worry about Wutian Mo, or even Longao. Even if we fail, then it's just that we're not fated to reach the Dao realm, and we'll just reincarnate. It was easy to say, but if they failed, they'd be reincarnated. No one knew what would happen then, and they might even die. However, apart from this method, there seemed to be no other good method. How should he choose? Neither of them spoke. Yi Dugu, who stood to the side, didn't show anything on his face, but he was pleasantly surprised. Of course, he hoped that they would choose this way. If they succeeded, then it would be beneficial to him. Even if they failed, it wouldn't be bad for him. Yi Dugu no longer considered himself Yi Biyu's son. If they continued to be foolish, only death would await them. Every man for himself, and the devil takes the hindmost. Chapter 32:16. Finally, the Oracle and Nangong Yin chose to take the risk and return to their chaos reincarnation state. As for Yi Dugu, he followed along and cultivated as well. Longao had been testing the waters all this while. He did not want to clash with the Demon Palace head-on. But in the end, he still did not know what was going on. Qin Shuangshuang's cultivation base had also returned to chaos reincarnation state, and she had regained her memories as well. Longao. She finally remembered who Longao was. It was a sad feeling. Big Brother Long, I will definitely find you. Qin Shuangxuang arrived at the first sky and searched high and low for Longao. As a chaos reincarnation martial artist, she was already at the pinnacle of martial arts. There was hardly anyone who could pose a threat to her. But before Qin Shuangxuang could find Longao, she bumped into Mo Wutian and Judas. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. As the saying went, the moment enemies met, their eyes would turn red. Qin Shuangxuang did not care how many people there were. The moment she saw them, she attacked. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. There's a path to heaven, but you refuse to take it. Hell has no doors, but you barge in. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Judas laughed maniacally as well. After all, controlling Qin Shuangxuang was equivalent to controlling Longao. One could wear out iron shoes in fruitless search, only to find it by chance. So what if Qin Shuangxuang was a chaos reincarnation martial artist? Once the two of them joined forces, dealing with Qin Shuangxuang was a piece of cake. In the blink of an eye, the three of them were engaged in a fierce battle, exchanging blows back and forth. Boom, boom, boom. If it were a one-on-one fight, Qin Shuangxuang might not necessarily be at a disadvantage. But things were different now. She had to face a man and a beast at the same time. Furthermore, both Mo Wutian and Judas were chaos reincarnation martial artists. Wanting to defeat a man and a beast was like a fool's dream. It was almost impossible. Just as Qin Shuangxuang could not hold on any longer, suddenly, the situation changed. Suddenly, countless firebugs appeared from all directions and began to attack the man and the beast in a frenzy. Longao's figure appeared, his face filled with rage. He never thought that Qin Shuangxuang would suddenly appear here and be besieged by a man and a beast. Looking at Qin Shuangxuang, who was gradually unable to resist, Longao felt a lingering fear. Fortunately, he had arrived in time. If he had arrived a little later, it was hard to imagine what would have happened. Endless rage. Endless killing intent. If it were any other time, Longao would definitely not be willing to casually sacrifice the firebug puppet army unless it was a last resort. But now, Longao couldn't suppress the anger in his body. If he dared to deal with Qin Shuangxuang, even if he had to sacrifice all of his firebug puppets, he wouldn't hesitate. As long as he could kill one man and one beast, he would pay any price. The current situation was completely different. Qin Shuangxuang had already recognized Longao. Looking at the man who suddenly appeared in front of her, her face immediately lit up. She said in surprise, "Brother Long, are you okay?" "Huh." When he heard Qin Shuangxuang call out his name, Longao was stunned. He guessed that Qin Shuangxuang must have recognized him. Otherwise, she wouldn't have called out his name so easily. Longao's face was also filled with joy. He walked up to Qin Shuangxuang and pulled her into his arms. He said excitedly, "Shuangxuang, you recognized me. Good, very good." When they saw Longao and his firefly puppet army, both Mo Wutian and Judas guessed that Longao was responsible for the firefly puppet army's sudden attack on Demon Palace. The man and the beast really couldn't figure out how Longao did it. How could he command such a huge firebug army? The man and the beast knew better than anyone else what it meant to the firebug army. That was exactly what happened. Man and beast didn't dare be careless. They fought with everything they had against the firefly puppet army. The firefly puppets were strong, especially their 100 million strong army. They could easily wipe out any opponent, but against a Chaos Samsara puppets, it was a different story. Chaos Samsara puppets were masters of the fusion of life and death. They were masters of the Chaos Samsara puppets. They were the best of the best. Even with such a large army of firefly puppets, it wouldn't be easy to destroy two Chaos Samsara puppets. "Brother Dragon, can the firefly puppets kill Mo Wutian and Judas?" Qin Shuangxuang didn't have the slightest confidence. After all, the strength of man and beast was there for all to see. Especially since Dragon hadn't recovered his Chaos Samsara powers. How could Longao not understand what Qin Shuangxuang was trying to say? Even Longao was not completely confident that the firebug army could kill the man and the beast. However, in his opinion, if he sacrificed the entire firebug army, even if the man and the beast did not die, they would probably lose a layer of skin. What kind of concept was that? Longao didn't care about the lives of man and beast. What he really cared about was Qin Shuangshuang. If she could recover her memories, that was more important than anything else. Shuangshuang, let's go. Qin Shuangshuang seemed to know what Longao was thinking. She nodded, and the two of them disappeared. Then, the firefly puppets around them began to disappear. Only now did Wutian and Judas breathe a sigh of relief. Both man and beast were wary of the endless swarm of puppets that surrounded them. If they weren't careful, they'd be doomed. Boss, what do we do now? Judas' face was dark and gloomy. He never would have guessed that Ao would be able to command such a massive army of firebugs. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. He knew better than anyone what this army of firebugs meant. How could Wutian not understand what Judas meant? He thought for a moment, then said, Judas, Longao is no longer the man he used to be. Forget about the firefly puppets, his talent and potential alone will allow him to return to the chaos level in no time at all. When that happens, it won't be easy for us to deal with him. Mo Wutian was not afraid of the firefly army, but he was helpless against Longao. This was especially true now that Longao had Qin Shuangshuang by his side. If Qin Shuangshuang was an ordinary chaotic martialist, it would be fine. However, Qin Shuangshuang was a chaotic samsara realm martialist. If they were to fight one-on-one, even Mo Wutian was not fully confident that he could defeat Qin Shuangshuang. It was a helpless situation. Boss, what do we do now? Wutian thought for a moment. No matter the cost, we need to get rid of them as soon as possible. We can't leave any problems for us. Chapter 32:17. Wutian Mo wanted to acquire the 9 Revolutions Chaos Codex as well. But they never would have thought that Longao's improvement far exceeded their scope of understanding. They were already wary of Longao when they first met him, and now they were even more fearful. Longao was the first to create the 9 Revolutions Chaos Codex. He had only reached the peak of the 7th revolution, but he had already reached the threshold of vindication. It was easy to imagine. If Longao was able to break through the 8th revolution of the 9 Revolution Primal Chaos Mantra, then without a doubt, Longao would definitely be able to successfully validate his Tao. Just because he had failed before didn't mean he wouldn't succeed now. It was better to be safe than sorry. If Longao did succeed, then it would be a different story altogether. Even if he and Judas worked together, all of the Chaos Masters would be no match for Longao. How could he not be afraid? On one side was the 9 Revolutions Chaos Codex, and on the other was Longao. In the past, Wutian Mo would have chosen the 9 Revolutions Chaos Codex without hesitation. The way he saw it, as long as he could cultivate the 9 Revolutions Chaos Codex, his chances of success would be much higher. But now, Wutian Mo would not choose the 9 Revolutions Chaos Codex. He would choose to kill Longao and eliminate the source of the problem. And the result? Wanting to kill Longao was not an easy task. What should he do? His face grew darker and darker. Inside his chaotic dantian, Longao was overjoyed to see Qin Shuangshuang regain her memories. He never would have guessed that she would do so at a time like this. It was a blessing in disguise. Shuangshuang, what happened? Tell me, Longao asked impatiently. He wanted to know why Shuangshuang had suddenly regained her memories. He had thought of countless ways to help her recover her memories, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't come up with a single solution. Could it be because she had returned to the chaos level? Sure enough. Qin Shuangshuang smiled and didn't hide anything. She recounted everything that had happened before in full detail. So that's how it is. It looks like everyone else had an easy time recovering, except for me. Regarding this matter, Longao felt very helpless. Back then, many primal chaos reincarnation experts had entered the reincarnation cycle. If there were no accidents, all of them would have successfully reincarnated. Any martial artist who awakened in samsara would quickly recover to the primal chaos samsara realm. Except for himself. The biggest reason was his physique. Chaotic sacred body. Such a sacred body would definitely be of great help to him in the future. This kind of saint body had both advantages and disadvantages. It could also hinder him from quickly recovering to his peak. If not for the fact that he had condensed the chaotic sacred body, he believed that he would have already recovered to the chaotic reincarnation state. Why would he still be bitterly stuck in the chaotic samsara state? Qin Shuangxuang had a rough understanding of Longao's situation. Brother Long, you can't be too hasty. With your chaotic saint body, you shouldn't have broken through so quickly. It's only because you've continuously obtained opportunities that you can break through the chaotic life and death realm. He nodded. How could Longao not know what Qin Shuangxuang was talking about? In my opinion, you should not be thinking about how to break through the primal chaos reincarnation realm. Instead, you should focus on stabilizing the realm that you broke through previously. In that case, it might be unexpectedly beneficial to your cultivation. Her words cut to the chase. Longao's face lit up with joy. He took Qin Shuangxuang's hand and smiled. I understand. The two of them remained in the chaos dantian, not leaving for a short time. Others might not be able to stay in the chaos dantian for long periods of time, but that didn't mean Qin Shuangxuang couldn't. Longao introduced Qin Shuangxuang to Yushi and the others. By now, Longao had not only accepted Sister Yun and Xiao Qian, but also Ling Ruori, the poor girl. Qin Shuangxuang didn't mind at all. When the two of them first entered the cycle of reincarnation, she had already thought of this. As for Longao's army of fireflies, Mo Wutian and Judas did not reveal it to the outside world. So far, no one in the realm of chaos knew about it. Otherwise, it would have caused quite a stir. Ever since Wutian and Judas returned to the Demon Palace, they had begun discussing how to deal with Longao. From their point of view, as long as Longao wasn't eliminated, then one day Longao would return to the chaotic samsara state and deal with them. In the end, the man and the beast were afraid. Mo Wufeng, on the other hand, was very curious. If it were any other time, the ancestors would have told him. But now, he didn't know what was going on. After the two ancestors returned, they didn't say a word. Instead, they began their discussion. As the palace lord of the Demon Palace, Missouri Wufeng was a wily old fox. How could he not know that things weren't as simple as they seemed? It would be a lie to say that there was nothing fishy going on. Mo Wufeng even guessed that what the two ancestors were discussing had something to do with the Firefly army. Since the two old ancestors didn't say much, Mo Wufeng didn't dare to ask. Now that the Devil Palace had taken over the entire Chaos world, there were still many things he needed to do, especially the Domain Lords Alliance, the Pill Hall, and the Heavenly Lightning Domain. The longer he delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for the Demon Palace. Ji Hao left the Thunder Domain. Of course, he wasn't going to give up so easily. He had prepared for so many years, but in the end, all his efforts were for naught. In the end, the Demon Palace took advantage of him. Initially, Ji Hao had thought that the battle between the Domain Lords Alliance and the Pill Hall, as well as the Demon Palace, would end with both sides suffering heavy losses, and he would be able to reap the benefits. But the outcome was far beyond his expectations. It would be a lie if he said that he didn't regret it. But, at this point, it was too late for regrets. Chaos life and death state. I'm just one step away from recovering to the chaos reincarnation state. By then, as long as I can get my hands on that treasure, there will be no one below the Tao confirmation state who will be my match. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Within the gigantic valley, a black mist swirled around as Ji Hao stood there, laughing maniacally. Even though he had temporarily lost his position as the Overlord, as long as his cultivation state recovered to the Chaos reincarnation state, he would be able to take back what belonged to him. But, by then, it wouldn't be that easy for him to take over the entire Chaos world. After laughing maniacally, Ji Hao turned around and headed towards the depths of the valley. He had already decided that no matter what price he had to pay, he had to recover to the Chaos reincarnation state. Only by reaching the Chaos reincarnation state could he fight against Mo Wutian. Otherwise, everything would be bullshit. As for Ji Hao, Mo Wutian didn't care about him at all. That was because he had never heard of this person before. Chapter 32:18. After finding Qin Shuangxuang successfully, Longao was very excited. He did not continue to deal with the Demon Palace but stayed in the chaotic Dantian with Qin Shuangshuang. Sister Yun, now that Brother Ao has Sister Shuangshuang, will he forget about us? Xiao Qian and Ling Ruori were very worried. It was not easy to win Longao's heart, but at this time, Qin Shuangshuang appeared. The two girls were not fools. They could clearly feel from Brother Ao that Ao liked this Sister Shuangshuang very much. It would be a lie to say that they were not jealous. Yunxi smiled and said, "It's not like you don't know Brother Long's character. Why are you worried?" It would be a lie to say that they were not worried. At this moment, Qin Shuangshuang walked over with a smile as if she could guess what the two girls were thinking. "Xiao Qian, Ruori, do you want to hear about me and Longao?" "Sister Shuangshuang, we want to hear about it." Whether it was Xiao Qian or Ruori, both of them were very confident in their looks. However, when facing Sister Shuangshuang, both of them had no confidence at all. They were ashamed of their inferiority. Qin Shuangshuang's beauty was definitely the best in the chaotic world. No one could beat her. Towards the three women, Qin Shuangshuang did not hide anything. She told them everything that happened between her and Long Ao in full detail. The three girls were completely dumbfounded. Qin Shuangshuang and Long Ao's relationship back then could be said to be earth-shattering. Long Ao, who was sitting by the side cultivating, also had a face full of emotions. Back then, he and Qin Shuangshuang were able to come together after going through countless obstacles. "Brother Long, what are we going to do next?" The current Long Ao was not the same as before. Not only did he have Qin Shuangshuang, a chaotic reincarnation realm martial artist, but he also had Blackie and other chaotic life and death realm martial artists and dozens of strange fires. Even if he faced a chaotic reincarnation realm martial artist, he definitely had the power to fight. Including hundreds of millions of fire bug puppet army. What kind of concept was that? How could Long Ao not know about Qin Shuangshuang's intention? However, at this time, it was not a wise move to deal with the Demon Palace. Long Ao didn't have the slightest interest in the so-called overlord position. He didn't have it back then, and he didn't have it in this life. Apart from a few primal chaos reincarnation experts, the rest of the primal chaos reincarnation experts were not interested in dominating the primal chaos world. There was no doubt about it. Anyone who could break through the primal chaos reincarnation realm would wholeheartedly affirm their Tao. No matter what. As long as he succeeded in validating his Tao, he would soar into the sky. "Shuangshuang, what do you think we should do now?" Qin Shuangshuang thought for a moment and said, "Let's wait and see." Wait and see? What did that mean? Long Ao didn't seem to understand what was going on. If he had the deterrence of the Domain Lords Alliance and the Pill Hall, he might be able to wait and see. However, the situation was different now. No matter if it was the Domain Lords Alliance or the Pill Hall, they were all destroyed by the Devil Palace. In the entire chaotic world, there was no other force that could resist the Devil Palace. He originally thought that Jiyu Hao could contend against the Demon Palace, and even if he beat Long Ao to death, he would never have thought that the Thunder Heavenly Domain led by Jiyu Hao would not even be able to contend against the Demon Palace, and would already be completely destroyed by the Demon Palace. "Shuangshuang, what do you mean by this?" "Brother Long, you should know better than me what kind of people Han Wu and Kang Ya are. In their eyes, dominating the chaotic world is far above validating their Tao. Therefore, according to my guess, if there is no accident, Han Wu and Kang Ya will not let this matter rest. When the time comes, once the two of them recover their chaos reincarnation realm, think about it, how could Han Wu and Kang Ya let Mo Wu Tian go? So that's it." Long Ao's expression was very serious. Recovering the chaos reincarnation realm was easy, but also difficult. Just like Mo Wu Tian and Zhuiying, they had already recovered their chaos reincarnation realm so quickly. Including Qin Shuangshuang, it was the same. If it was Kang Ya and Han Wu, it was really unknown when they could recover their chaos reincarnation realm. Could it be that he had to wait like this? No matter what, he had to kill Mo Wu Tian. If he could subdue Zhuiying, it would be a good thing. As if she could guess Long Ao's thoughts, Qin Shuangshuang continued, "Brother Long, I have a feeling that Han Wu and Kang Ya, including the others, will recover their Chaos Reincarnation Realm in the shortest time possible. What do you mean? Qin Shuangshang nodded, her voice full of concern. The heavens have been suppressing us. It's been many years since anyone has been able to prove their Tao. Do you think there's nothing fishy about this? I know what you mean. I felt something was wrong back then. Under normal circumstances, I should have been able to break through to the 8th cycle and prove my Tao. But at the last moment, a mysterious force was suppressing me. If I hadn't entered the cycle of reincarnation, I would have been gone by now. The more he thought about it, the more he felt something was wrong. As for what was wrong, he couldn't put his finger on it. Brother Long, we still have 8,000 years to go. But we must be prepared. Our luck won't always be so good. Nodding, Longao's face turned ugly. Proving the Tao of Chaos was the dream of every Chaos martial artist. Especially the Chaos Reincarnation martial artists, they couldn't wait to prove their Tao. But for so many years, no one had succeeded in proving their Tao, including Longao. Back then, Longao had created the 9-cycle Chaos Mantra. Just by cultivating it to the peak of the 7th cycle, he had already broken through to the peak of the Chaos Reincarnation Realm. At that time, he was hailed by everyone as the person most likely to succeed in proving his Tao. But what was the result? Even though he was only one step away from the 8th cycle, Longao still had full confidence that he could break through to the 8th cycle and prove his Tao. But he didn't expect that at the critical moment, a mysterious force would suddenly descend and suppress him. Not only could he not continue to break through to the 8th cycle, but he was also almost killed. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't afraid. Back then, he was already standing at the peak of the Chaos Reincarnation Realm. He was almost invincible under the Tao. Even so, that mysterious force almost killed him. Until now, he still couldn't figure out what kind of force could have such power. Could it be a Tao-proving martial artist? It seemed a bit ridiculous. Even if it was a Tao vindication warrior, it was impossible to do this unless it was the Chaos Tao itself. However, everyone knew that the Chaos Tao itself was an illusory thing. Whether it existed or not was still unknown. Therefore, after thinking about it, Longao could not figure out what was going on. Being unable to deal with the mysterious force was always a troublesome matter. Chapter 32:19. In the time that followed, Longao didn't try to think of a way to restore his Chaos Realm. Instead, he focused on stabilizing his own realm, the Chaos Realm of life and death. Just as Shuangshang had said, his situation was different from the others. If he continued to break through, the losses would outweigh the gains. 100 years passed in the blink of an eye. As time passed, the Demon Palace's dominance over the Chaos became more and more stable. Ever since the Demon Palace took over the Chaos Realm, the Domain Lords Alliance and Pill Hall seemed to have vanished from the face of the earth. For 100 years, there was no trace of them. It was strange. On the surface, the Domain Lords Alliance and Pill Hall seemed to have been destroyed. But anyone with a brain would know that they weren't truly destroyed. Everything depended on Han Wu and Kang Ya. If the ancestors of the two superpowers could restore their Chaos Realms in time, then they would have a chance to turn the tables. And the result? 100 years later, Han Wu and Kang Ya both returned to their Chaos Realms. Without a doubt, they led their respective sects to rise and joined forces against the Demon Palace. Right now, Mo Wu Tian's face was filled with helplessness. Truly, what he feared most had come true. He hadn't been able to kill them before they returned to their Chaos Realms. But now, it was too late. If they were alone, Mo Wu Tian wouldn't have worried. But now, both of them knew that if they fought one-on-one, then they and Judas together would be a match for the two of them. Because of this, they chose to work together. Now they were in big trouble. Ancestor, what should we do now? With a heavy snort, Mo Wu Tian's expression was extremely gloomy. His voice was extremely cold as he said, "So what if Han Wu and Kang Ya join forces? After 100 years of development, our Devil Palace is no longer the same as before. The Demon Palace's strength and resources were far beyond what the Domain Lords Alliance and Pill Hall could contend with. In other words, it was too difficult for the two superpowers to reclaim their position as the overlords. Edgeless, From now on, use your iron fist. No matter who betrays us, kill them without mercy. Yes. Mo Wutian looked out into the endless void, a cold smile tugging at his lips. Brother Dragon, have you really thought this through? He nodded. Longao smiled and said, the 7th cycle of the 9 Revolution Chaos Mantra has a total of 4 great abilities. I've already begun to comprehend the 4th ability, reincarnation. This time, I must succeed no matter what. Qin Shuang was very worried. Especially when he thought about how Longao had almost been killed by a mysterious force when he reached the final step of the Dao validation stage, he was deeply worried. What if the mysterious power came again? As if he could guess what Qin Shuang was thinking, Longao smiled again and said, I'm fine. After 100 years of consolidation, my cultivation has completely stabilized. I can now fuse the Dao of life and death. Once he succeeded in fusing the Daos of life and death, he would be able to comprehend reincarnation and reach the primal chaos reincarnation realm. This step could be said to be both simple and difficult. Longao knew very well that it would not be easy for him to fuse the way of life and death and comprehend the power of samsara, especially with his chaotic sacred body. Brother Dragon, now that Han Wu and Kang Ya have recovered to the chaotic reincarnation realm, if nothing goes wrong, I believe there will be a storm in the chaotic world. Are you going to intervene? If it was in the past, Longao would definitely not intervene in the matter of dominating the chaotic world. Dao validation was the only thing that chaotic world martial artists dreamed of. Not to mention Longao, even other chaotic world martial artists were the same. Therefore, all chaotic world martial artists would not intervene in the matter of dominating the chaotic world. But now, Longao had other plans. Smiling and holding Qin Shuang's hand tightly, Longao said with a smile, I'd like to see how Mo Wutian is going to contend with me. At this moment, a figure appeared. It was none other than the 5 Elements' old ancestor. After betraying the Demon Palace and choosing to submit to Longao, the 5 Elements' old ancestor had been cultivating. 100 years ago, he was called out by Longao. Under normal circumstances, it would be difficult for the 5 Elements' old ancestor to have a breakthrough. But it was different now. Ever since he obtained the Chaos 5 Element Stone, he had successfully broken through the chaotic life and death realm in a short 100 years. 5 Elements, how are things going? The 5 Elements' old ancestor's attitude was very respectful as he said, Master, according to your instructions, I began to arrange and establish the Dragon Sect more than 100 years ago. After these years of discovery, even if our force cannot compete with the Demon Palace, it can be considered a second-rate force. Longao said with satisfaction, you have done well. From now on, you will rise with all your strength. Don't have any worries. Ah! Completely stunned, the 5 Elements' old ancestor never imagined that his master would be like this. After all, the Dragon Sect's current strength was enough to deal with other forces. But if they were to face the Demon Palace, there would only be one result, complete destruction. This was without a doubt. The 5 Elements' old ancestor couldn't understand and asked, Master, the Demon Palace's strength already covers the entire Chaos realm. If we were to face them head-on, I'm afraid it would be difficult to contend against them. Under normal circumstances, that would be the case. But I have the Firebug Puppet Army. You should know what that means. Longao didn't continue, but the meaning was clear. As long as the 5 Elements' old ancestor wasn't a fool, he would be able to understand. The Firebug Puppet Army. When the Firebug Puppet Army attacked the Demon Palace, it had shaken the entire Chaos realm. The 5 Elements' old ancestor naturally knew that the Firebug Puppet Army belonged to his master. But whether or not his master was willing to take out the Firebug Puppet Army was still unknown. With the help of the Firebug Puppet Army, all problems wouldn't be a problem. The 5 Elements' old ancestor was very excited. Master, with the help of the Firebug Puppet Army, I'm confident that I can obtain a third of the empire. Enough. Longao's ambition was not big. Establishing the Dragon Sect this time was only to check and balance the Devil Palace. As for dominating the Chaos world, firstly, he did not have such thoughts. Secondly, Han Wu and Kang Ya had already recovered to the Chaos reincarnation realm. If there were no accidents, the two of them would definitely not take things lying down. At that time, they would definitely make a comeback. At this time, there was no need to fight against Han Wu and Kang Ya. Longao thought about it and said, I will do my best to help you. Remember, as long as you can keep the Demon Palace in check, I will help you break through to the Chaos Reincarnation Realm in the future. Hearing Longao's words, the Five Elements' old ancestor was instantly pleasantly surprised. Thank you, Master. P.S. This book is also reaching the end. The speed will definitely be slightly slower. Little Nine will try his best to write the ending well. Everyone, please support Watermelon Cow Great Gods Xuanhuan Hot-Blooded Dragon Blood. Thank you everyone. Chapter 3220. The Five Elements' old ancestor was the Vice Master of the Dragon Sect. As for who the Master of the Dragon Sect was, although the Dragon Sect didn't say it clearly, many people knew. The Master of the Dragon Sect was Longao. In the current Chaos Realm, the Overlord was definitely the Demon Palace, and no one dared to go against them. Without a doubt. The Demon Palace used iron-blooded methods, and anyone who disobeyed would be killed without mercy. Needless to say, the Demon Palace's position as the Overlord was very stable. Under normal circumstances. Although the Dragon Sect had been established for more than 100 years, it was almost impossible to go against the Demon Palace. It was like an egg hitting a rock. 2 words, courting death. But now, the situation was completely different. The Dragon Sect had tens of millions of fire bug puppet army, and even the Demon Palace didn't dare to go against them. Seize the heavens. The Chaos Realm had a total of 99 heavens, and according to Longao's plan, they were going to seize 20 to 30 heavens. Needless to say, the Five Elements' old ancestor was indeed a genius, leading the Dragon Sect to seize 10 heavens in a short period of 1 year. What kind of concept was that? Just as the Demon Palace was preparing to counterattack, the Domain Lords Alliance and the Pill Hall suddenly rose and began to seize the heavens. Although they didn't say that they would join hands, the Domain Lords Alliance, the Pill Hall, and the Dragon Sect had a tacit understanding to deal with the Demon Palace together. In a one-on-one situation, the Demon Palace might have the upper hand. But now, it was impossible for the Demon Palace to win against 3. As if they had thought of this, the Demon Palace began to retreat, and finally defended 25 heavens. The remaining heavens were divided equally by the 3 superpowers. The Dragon Sect's base was temporarily set in the Blackstone Heavenly region, and they found a very elegant mountain to set it as the Dragon Sect's base camp, the Dragon Peak. The Dragon Sect. In the main hall, Longao and Qin Shuangshuang's expression was very serious, because the Dragon Sect was preparing to attack the Demon Palace and continue to seize the heavens. The situation suddenly changed. Brother Long, you set the Dragon Sect in the Blackstone Heavenly region, is there a purpose? Nodding. Longao didn't hide anything from Qin Shuangshuang, and said, Shuangshuang, I've already told you before, other than Blackie, there are 9 infants, Qiu Niu, Dao Tai, 9-headed dragon python, and golden by beast. Qin Shuangshuang didn't say anything. She just listened quietly. There are 10 chaotic divine beasts in the Chaos Realm. I have the diagram of the chaotic divine beasts as well. Longao smiled. Although he didn't finish his sentence, the meaning of his words was very clear. Qin Shuangshuang was not a fool. How could she not understand? Are you saying that there is a chaos divine beast in the Blackstone Heavenly region? That's right. When the Dao Tai and the other chaos divine beasts arrived at the Blackstone Heavenly region, they already sensed that there was a chaos divine beast here. If I'm not mistaken, this chaos divine beast is the Pai Xiu. Pi Xiu? Qin Shuangshuang was not unfamiliar with the Pi Xiu. She thought for a moment and said, Brother Long, are you confident? How could Longao not know about Shuangshuang's worries? There were a total of 10 chaotic divine beasts in the Chaos Realm. Any one of them was a peerless divine beast that was famous throughout the Chaos Realm, especially this divine beast Pai Xiu. It was said that it was bloodthirsty. It had killed countless creatures and finally disappeared for no reason. As for why it was like this, no one knew until now. Don't worry, according to my guess, if nothing unexpected happens, this mythical beast Pai Xiu should have been heavily injured. As long as I can lock onto the exact location of the mythical beast Pai Xiu, I have full confidence in being able to subdue it. Do you need me to go? Of course. If it was before, Longao would not let Qin Shuangshuang go. But the situation was different now. Shuangshuang had recovered to the chaotic reincarnation realm. Looking at the chaos realm, Shuangshuang was already standing at the peak of martial Dao. Blackie and the others appeared. Dao Tai, can you lock the specific location of the Pai Xiu? However, it was impossible to sense it at all. They had to lock the specific location. If they could not sense it, everything would be nonsense. Dao Tai's face was very dignified. Of course, he knew the seriousness of the matter. He thought for a moment and said, "Boss, I can't lock the specific location of the Pai Xiu with my strength alone. If we lock it at the same time, the probability of successfully locking the location of the Pai Xiu is very high." Longao nodded. Dao Tai and the others began to lock the location of the Pai Xiu with all their strength and covered the entire Blackstone Heavenly region. If it was other people, they would not be able to do it. But the situation was completely different for Dao Tai and the other Chaos Divine Beasts. 3 days later, Longao and Qin Shuangshuang led Dao Tai and the others to a so-called forbidden area in the Blackstone Heavenly region. There were many forbidden areas in the Blackstone Heavenly region. Ordinary people did not dare to step in casually. This so-called forbidden area was the forbidden area of destruction. As the name suggested, anyone who entered the forbidden area of destruction would be destroyed. Inside the forbidden area of destruction. Dao Tai, are you sure? Dao Tai thought for a moment and sensed the surrounding situation. He said, "Boss, we can be sure that the Pai Xiu Divine Beast is definitely in the forbidden area of destruction. But you must be careful. Although the Pai Xiu Divine Beast is severely injured, it will be very troublesome if it is not willing to surrender." Longao nodded. How could he not know what Dao Tai meant? The Pai Xiu Divine Beast was one of the 10 Chaos Divine Beasts after all. Moreover, it was a bloodthirsty Chaos Divine Beast. Once it was unwilling to surrender, the consequences would be unimaginable. If it was before, Longao would definitely not take the risk for the Pai Xiu Divine Beast. After all, the price to pay was too great. But now, Longao had already subdued so many Chaos Divine Beasts. If he could continue to subdue them, he might really be able to gather the 10 Chaos Divine Beasts. It would be a lie to say that he did not want to. After all, according to the legend, if he could gather the 10 Chaos Divine Beasts together with the Chaos Divine Beast diagram, he might have unpredictable power. He was looking forward to it. It was precisely because Longao would not choose to give up. Otherwise, he would not have come here so easily. Since he had chosen to come, then there was no doubt that he wanted to subdue the mythical beast Pai Xiu, no matter what price he had to pay. You guys tell me, what should I do now? Dao Tai and the others were all Chaos Divine Beasts. If there was no accident, Dao Tai and the others would definitely have a better way to deal with the Pai Xiu Divine Beast. This was without a doubt. If he was alone, not to mention dealing with the Pai Xiu Divine Beast, he would not be able to locate the Pai Xiu Divine Beast. The 9-headed dragon python said solemnly, "Boss, among the 10 divine beasts of chaos, the mythical beast Pai Xiu is the most bloodthirsty. Unless you defeat it completely, it will not submit to you." Chapter 32:21. How could Longao not know what the 9-headed dragon python meant? Completely beat it down. It was easy to think about, but difficult to do it. The situation of the mythical beast Pai Xiu was very special. The mythical beast Pai Xiu was a bloodthirsty chaotic mythical beast. How could he choose to subdue it casually? In the end, it was not an easy task to subdue the mythical beast Pai Xiu. Since he was here, he might as well take it easy. Since he had decided to subdue the mythical beast Pai Xiu, Longao did not shrink back. Let's go. In the center of the forbidden land of destruction, a huge whirlpool appeared, engulfing everything in its path. Boss, the mythical beast Pai Xiu is at the bottom of the vortex. It was really a mysterious place. If it were not for Dao Tai and others, ordinary people would not be able to find this place. Taking a deep breath, letting everyone into the chaotic Dantian, Longao did not even think about it. He directly stepped out and disappeared into the vortex. At the bottom of the vortex, in the huge cave, there was a strong smell of blood everywhere. As soon as Longao stepped in, his face became very dignified. As Blackie and others said, among the 10 chaotic mythical beasts, the mythical beast Pai Xiu was the most bloodthirsty. The mythical beast Pai Xiu represented killing. Just at this moment, annoying human breath, die. The huge body of the mythical beast Pai Xiu slowly raised its head and looked coldly at Longao, who had entered the cave. Directly, a terrifying airflow rushed over. He did not dare to be careless. Not to mention the current him, even if he recovered to the chaotic reincarnation realm, he would not dare to be careless. The mythical beast Pai Xiu was seriously injured, and it was a chaotic mythical beast. Chaotic reincarnation realm warrior Qin Shuangshuang had appeared beside Longao and immediately began to fight back. The mythical beast Pai Xiu in its heyday might be able to defeat Qin Shuangshuang, but now, the situation was completely different. The mythical beast Pai Xiu was seriously injured. It was impossible to compete with Qin Shuangshuang in her heyday. Get out of here, or I will make you regret coming here. How could Longao not know what the mythical beast Pai Xiu meant? He sneered. Pai Xiu, I give you 2 choices now, die or surrender. Submit. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Hearing the other party's words, the mythical beast Pai Xiu laughed wildly. Its laughter was filled with endless madness, as if it had heard the funniest thing in the world. Human, are you joking with me? His voice was filled with endless mockery. I, the great mythical beast Pai Xiu, will choose to submit to a puny human. Even if you have a primal chaos reincarnation martial artist, don't even think about making me submit. Get lost. In the next second, Blackie, 9-headed dragon python, 9-headed snakelet, Dao Tai, Chonyo, and Golden Ni appeared one after another. The face of the Pai Xiu, who was still ridiculing him, just now changed abruptly. His face was filled with disbelief. You, all of you. He was so shocked that he couldn't speak because Pai Xiu had already guessed something. It was because of this that he was so shocked that he didn't know why these so-called chaos divine beasts would submit to a little human. Is this true? This was definitely not true. It was complete nonsense. There were only 10 chaos divine beasts in the entire chaos world. Any one of them would be an extremely prideful existence. How could they submit to a human martial artist? What a joke. Pai Xiu, you and I are friends. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you follow boss, you will be able to live a good life in the future. You might even be able to prove your Dao successfully. Among the 6 chaos divine beasts, the one who had the best relationship with the Pai Xiu was the Dao Tai. However, even the Dao Tai could not guarantee that the Pai Xiu would submit to boss. Others might not understand the character of the Pai Xiu. But as the best friend of the Pai Xiu, how could he not know? The Pai Xiu was extremely prideful to begin with. How could he submit to a human so easily? If it were in the past, even he would not choose to submit. In fact, he would not even believe that a chaos divine beast would choose to submit to a human martial artist. And it was because of him, Blackie, and the others that the Dao Tai godly beast wanted this friend of his to follow boss. It wasn't boss who was taking advantage. It was his friend who was taking advantage. Dao Tai, what do you mean by this? Have you forgotten that you're a chaos divine beast? The other chaos divine beasts were fine. However, the Pai Xiu knew Dao Tai the best. How could it submit to a human? Especially when this human was only in the chaotic life and death realm. Even the woman beside him was a chaotic reincarnation realm martial artist. He could not figure it out. He really could not figure it out. However, his intuition told him that this matter was definitely not that simple. He would not believe that there was nothing fishy about it even if he was beaten to death. Pai Xiu, I can tell you clearly that you won't be able to prove your Dao if you cultivate by yourself. Especially now that you're severely injured. Fortunately, you met us. If you met other chaotic reincarnation realm martial artists, you can totally imagine what would happen. At this point, Dao Tai did not continue speaking. However, the meaning of his words was very clear. How could the Pai Xiu not know what Dao Tai meant? Knowing was one thing, Whether or not to do it was another. As a dignified Chaos Divine Beast, how could he choose to submit so easily? Pai Xiu, let me tell you something. Not only did Boss obtain the legendary Chaos Divine Beast diagram, he also obtained the Chaos Tree. Not only that, Boss created the 9 Revolution Chaos technique and almost succeeded in proving his Tao. Shocked, the Pai Xiu took a deep look at the human in front of him. He never thought that this human would be so powerful. Forget about the Chaos Divine Beast diagram, he even obtained the Chaos Tree. If Dao Tai did not say it himself, he would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. However, even so, he could not choose to submit. When he thought of submitting to a human martial artist, the Pai Xiu felt a little ashamed. As if he could guess what the Pai Xiu was thinking, Dao Tai continued, Pai Xiu, why are you so severely injured? Suddenly, a terrifying aura erupted from the Pai Xiu's body. Murderous aura filled the entire cave. He said coldly, it's all because of that shameless Lai Tian. He attacked me while I was cultivating and severely injured me. Lai Tian. Everyone, including Longao, was a little surprised when they heard Lai Tian mentioned by the Pai Xiu. Because they all knew who Lai Tian was. Among the top 10 Chaos Divine Beasts, Lai Tian was one of them. He possessed incomparably powerful strength. Legend had it that he could even break open the chaotic world. From this, one could imagine how powerful Lai Tian was. Was there a grudge between the Pai Xiu and Lai Tian? The others really did not know. If the Pai Xiu did not say it, no one would know. Chapter 32-22. The situation suddenly changed. Pai Xiu suddenly said, Human, as long as you agree to my 2 conditions, I will agree to submit to you, how about that? He was not surprised at all. There was no free lunch in the world. Longao had already guessed what Pai Xiu was thinking. If there was no accident, the 2 conditions should be what he had guessed. The first condition is that you must help me in the future. Sure. Dao Tai was delighted. As long as Pai Xiu chose to submit, not to mention 2 conditions, even if there were 20 conditions, he believed that Boss would agree without hesitation. Pai Xiu was not surprised at all. He seemed to have guessed that the other party would definitely agree to his conditions. The second condition is to help me kill Lai Tian. Longao did not even think about it and replied directly, impossible. Was it possible to kill Lai Tian? It was almost impossible. It was completely nonsense. Pai Xiu's face turned cold and said coldly, Are you playing with me? Dao Tai and the others did not speak. They seemed to be able to guess what Boss meant. Boss obviously wanted to gather the 10 chaotic divine beasts. If he killed Lai Tian, then what was the point of subduing Pai Xiu? It was unnecessary. Pai Xiu, the Dao Tai divine beast just said that I accidentally obtained the Chaos Divine Beast diagram. You should know what the Chaos Divine Beast diagram means. Do you think I will kill Lai Tian? Pai Xiu was not a fool. He instantly understood what the other party meant. If it were anyone else, even if they got the Chaotic Divine Beast diagram, they would not dare to hope to gather the 10 Chaotic Divine Beasts. It was completely a fool's dream. Was it possible? It was simply impossible. Only the person in front of him was crazy. He actually wanted to gather the 10 chaotic divine beasts. If it was before, Pai Xiu would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. However, the fact was in front of him. The person in front of him had actually subdued heaven-swallowing beast and other chaotic divine beasts. Until now, Pai Xiu was still a little confused. Okay, but you have to control Lai Tian and let me beat him up for 10,000 years. No problem. This condition, to Longao, was virtually not the slightest bit difficult. The rest of the matter was much easier. Without the slightest danger, he successfully subdued Pai Xiu. It was too difficult to lock onto the Sky Splitter mythical beast's position. But now, everything was very simple. It turned out that the sky-splitting divine beast was also in the Blackstone heavenly domain. It was just that the sky-splitting divine beast didn't know the exact location of the Pai Xiu, but the Pai Xiu knew the exact location of the sky-splitting divine beast. Are you saying that the sky-splitting divine beast is still at the primal chaos reincarnation realm? Pai Xiu nodded helplessly and said, Boss, if you want to subdue Lai Tian, you must use your wits. You can't fight him head-on. With Sister Shuang's strength alone, you can't subdue Lai Tian. Until now. Longao had already subdued Ju Ying, Qiu Niu, Dao Tai, Nine-Headed Nether Dragon, Golden Bai Beast, Pisho, and Blackie. Only the Sky Splitter Divine Beast, the Candleshade Divine Beast, and the Swanee Divine Beast were left. The Divine Beast Juyin had already submitted to Wu Tianmo, so subduing it wouldn't be an easy task. Putting aside the Zhuyin Godly Beast and the Swanee Godly Beast, the most important thing now was to figure out a way to tame the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast. The Sky Splitter Divine Beast was different from the other Divine Beasts of Chaos. The other Divine Beasts of Chaos had not recovered their full strength. Hence, it was easy to tame them. However, the situation was different now. What should he do to successfully subdue the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast? Out of the 10 Divine Beasts of Chaos, there were already 7 of them. He was only missing 3. If he were to give up now, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. Pai Xiu, you have a plan? If there was anyone who could deal with the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast, it would undoubtedly be the Pai Xiu. Just as he had expected. Pai Xiu nodded his head and said, "Boss, I do have a plan to deal with the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast. It's just that back then, I couldn't do it alone. But now, the situation is different. I can help you subdue the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast." The thought of Tian Tian beating up the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast makes me so excited that I could die. Ha ha ha. Longao chuckled. Dao Tai and the other Divine Beasts of Chaos laughed as well. Longao did not care about the grudges between the 2 Divine Beasts of Chaos. As long as the Pai Xiu could help him subdue the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast, anything was fine. This was especially the case for the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast. It was different from the other Divine Beasts of Chaos reincarnation state. It would be of great help to him. Just the thought of it made him excited. The Pai Xiu's plan was simple. For so many years, the Pai Xiu had wanted to deal with the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast. Therefore, he had spent countless years to set up a formation specifically to deal with the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast. While it might not be of much use to others, it was fatal to the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast. It was not that the Pai Xiu and the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast did not care about the immortal realm. These 2 Divine Beasts of Chaos were just acting in a fit of pique. From the start, they did not want to admit defeat to the end. After hearing the words of the Pai Xiu, Longao and the others could not help but sigh. What a pair of quarrelsome lovers. If they could successfully subdue the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast, the Pai Xiu and the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast would definitely not continue to fight to the end. That would be a pretty good thing. And this formation was not somewhere else but within the forbidden grounds of destruction. According to the words of the Pai Xiu, even though this formation was set up specifically to deal with the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast, even if he were to recover to his peak state, it would still be difficult for him to deal with the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast alone. According to the previous idea of the Pai Xiu, when his injuries were completely healed, he would invite the Divine Beast Dao Tai to deal with the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast together. However, before he could recover his strength and invite the Divine Beast Dao Tai, the situation had changed. According to the words of the Pai Xiu, Longao began to secretly spread the news. About a month later, the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast indeed entered the forbidden grounds of destruction. Blackie, Longao, and the others began to prepare. As soon as the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast stepped in, the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast was already trapped. The result could be imagined. In the chaotic Dantian, the mythical beast Pai Xiu roared unwillingly. "Boss, didn't you ask me to beat up the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast? Why am I being beaten up by him now?" The Pai Xiu was completely helpless. He was still severely injured and had not recovered to his peak state of chaotic reincarnation realm. In this way, not to mention beating up the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast, he was beaten up by the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast. Longao simply ignored the anger of the Pai Xiu. Since he had already subdued the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast, there was no doubt that he would treat the Sky-Cracking Godly Beast and the Pai Xiu equally. However, according to the current situation, the Pai Xiu was obviously at a disadvantage. In the blink of an eye, the Pai Xiu had been beaten up for 3 months without the slightest strength to fight back. It would be a lie to say that it was not depressed. It was very depressed. However, the Pai Xiu helplessly discovered that the boss did not care about him at all. The things that he had promised before seemed to have become a dream. Chapter 32-23. There were 10 chaotic divine beasts in the chaotic realm. 9-headed divine beast, Chonyo divine beast, Daotai divine beast, 9-headed dragon python, golden lion divine beast, Pishio divine beast, sky-splitting divine beast, and sky-swallowing divine beast. Longao already had 8 chaotic divine beasts. What did that mean? Now, only divine beast Zhuyin and divine beast Swanni were left. If Longao could subdue the remaining 2 chaotic divine beasts, he would have gathered all 10 chaotic divine beasts. No one in the entire chaotic realm had ever done it. Subduing the 10 chaotic divine beasts. Even if he could subdue one of them, it would be a blessing in disguise. For example, when Mo Wutian subdued Zhuyin, it took him a lot of effort and he was almost killed by Zhuyin. It was easy to imagine how dangerous and difficult it was to subdue a chaotic divine beast. But now, Longao had 8 chaotic divine beasts by his side. Not only that, Longao also had the chaotic divine beast diagram. According to legend, if he could gather all 10 chaotic divine beasts together with the diagram, he would have the power to destroy heaven and earth. That was why Longao could not wait. He was looking forward to it. Among the remaining 2 chaotic divine beasts, divine beast Zhuyin was the most difficult to subdue. There was no doubt about that. He could only wait and see if he could subdue divine beast Swanni. Divine beast Swanni's whereabouts were unknown. At least it was not in the Black Stone heavenly region. Otherwise, Black and the others would have found it. If it was not in the Black Stone heavenly region, it would be troublesome. The Chaos Realm's 99 heavenly regions was boundless. Trying to lock onto the exact location of the Swanni divine beast was like finding a needle in the ocean. It was almost impossible. Black, do you know where divine beast Swanni is? If it was before, Longao would not have thought of subduing the 10 chaotic divine beasts. He did not even dare to think about it. But now, the situation was completely different. How could Xiao He and the others not know what their boss meant? The 8 chaotic divine beasts. You look at me, I look at you, and they all began to quietly sense it. One day later, the 8 chaos divine beasts opened their eyes at the same time. The golden Bai said, "Boss, I have a good relationship with the Baiyan divine beast." So, although Jin Tu did not finish his words, the meaning in his words was very clear. Longao was not a fool. How could he not understand? Nodding with a smile, Longao said, "Don't you know what kind of person I am?" Blackie rolled his eyes and said unhappily, "Jinan, don't you know how boss treats you?" Jinan seemed to realize that he had said something wrong. He nodded embarrassedly and said with a smile, "If that's the case, let's tell boss." Longao's heart skipped a beat when he heard Jinan's words. It seemed that the 8 divine beasts of chaos had successfully located the Swanni divine beast. How could he not be excited? How could he not be excited? If he could successfully subdue the Swanni divine beast, he would have gathered a total of 9 chaotic divine beasts. What kind of concept was that? Once he successfully tamed the Swanni divine beast, it would mean that he would be able to gather all the chaotic divine beasts except for the Zhuyin divine beast. The more he thought about it, the more he looked forward to it. Where is the Swanni divine beast? Boss, the 8 of us have locked onto it at the same time. We found that the Swanni divine beast is not only severely injured, its life is in danger at any time. Ah! Hearing Blackie's words, Longao was shocked. As one of the 10 great chaotic divine beasts, the Swanni divine beast's strength was extremely terrifying. Even if Mo Wu Tian and the others wanted to defeat the Swanni divine beast, it would be impossible. What was going on? Longao's intuition told him that it was not so simple. Boss, we don't know what is going on either. But the Swanni divine beast is in the Death Heavenly region. Death Heavenly region? Longao did not know much about the Death Heavenly region. However, he knew that it was a lower heavenly region. Moreover, it was an inconspicuous lower heavenly region. However, since the Swanni divine beast was in the Death Heavenly region, everything was nonsense. Without any hesitation, Longao immediately rushed to the 4 heavenly regions. Now that the chaotic world was divided equally among the 4 heavenly regions, the Death Heavenly Region was under the Domain Lord Alliance. Therefore, Longao could enter the Death Heavenly Region smoothly. Death Heavenly Region. According to Xiao He and the others, the exact location of the Swanee Divine Beast was in a certain mountain range in the Death Heavenly Region. However, when Longao arrived at the mountain range, his face immediately changed. Jiyu Hao. Even if he beat Longao to death, he would never have thought that Longao would be here. Could it be that Jiyu Hao had also discovered traces of the Swanee? After all, sensing a Chaos Divine Beast was not something that could be done with just strength. He believed that even at his peak, he would not be able to lock onto the position of a Chaos Divine Beast. Unless it was another Chaos Divine Beast, he would have to use all his strength to sense it. Longao was even more clear about one thing. Now that the Swanee Divine Beast was about to fall, Xiao He and the others were able to lock onto it in such a short period of time. Otherwise, it was unknown if they would be able to lock onto it. Longao had locked onto Jiyu Hao, and at the same time, Jiyu Hao had also locked onto Longao. However, Jiyu Hao and Longao were the same, they were both in the primal chaos life and death realm. At this moment, Longao was filled with regret to the extreme. This time, he did not bring Shuang Shuang with him to the Death Heavenly Region. Otherwise, with Shuang Shuang's strength, killing Jiyu Hao would be an easy task. In the end, Jiyu Hao's luck was simply too good. Normally, both of them would be together with him, except this time. Longao, what are you doing here? Jiyu Hao was also very surprised. He did not know what Longao meant by suddenly descending. Could it be that he had discovered his secret? This was completely nonsense. It was precisely because of this that Jiyu Hao guessed that Longao's arrival this time was definitely a coincidence, and he did not come to find him on purpose. What I came here to do doesn't seem to have anything to do with you. Jiyu Hao, the grudge between you and me should be settled now. If they were to fight head-on, Longao was completely confident that he could kill Jiyu Hao, but he was very clear in his heart that Jiyu Hao definitely had a trump card. If he was unable to successfully escape this time, then it would not be that easy for him to continue killing Jiyu Hao. There was only one chance. As if he could guess what Longao was thinking, Jiyu Hao laughed and asked, "You want to kill me?" "That's right. With just you. Not to mention the current you, even if you were at your peak, you might not be able to kill me. Longao, I don't have time to play with you today. You play, if you know what's good for you, you'd better scram. Otherwise, don't blame me for being heartless." Threat. Jiyu Hao was threatening him? Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Chapter 32-24. Looking at Longao, who was laughing crazily. Jiyu Hao's face became more and more gloomy, more and more unsightly. He did not put Jiyu Hao in his eyes at all. Longao was still worried that Jiyu Hao would not fight him head-on. Once they fought head-on, he had full confidence that he could kill Jiyu Hao. With regards to this, Longao was completely confident. No matter what. Other than himself, there were still a total of 8 Chaos Beast. What kind of concept was this? The two of them stared at each other, their bodies erupting with terrifying killing intent. Finally, Jiyu Hao still turned around and left. If he recovered his primal chaos reincarnation realm, he had full confidence in killing the other party. But now, he didn't even have the slightest bit of confidence. If he were to forcefully attack, the chances of success would be less than 30%. Longao also did not attack. If it was any other time, he would definitely attack without hesitation. But now, the main reason he came this time was for the Swanee Beast. After all, according to Xiao He and the others, the Swanee Beast's injuries were too severe, and it could die at any time. If he died, he would enter the cycle of reincarnation, and if he died, he would completely disappear. Whether the Swanee Beast entered the cycle of reincarnation or completely disappeared, it was not something that Longao was willing to see. Inside a huge, pitch-black cave, the Swanee Beast was lying on the ground. At a glance, it was obvious that it was on its last breath and could die at any time. Am I really going to die here? At this moment, Longao and the others appeared, Looking at the human in front of them, just as the Swanee was about to become furious, he suddenly saw the 8 figures beside the human. They were the 8 Chaos Beast, and among them, there was even the Golden Lion Beast who had a good relationship with him. What was going on? Swanee, what's going on? Who hurt you? Jin Swanee, tell me first, what's going on with you? Of course, Jin Swanee knew what the other party was asking, but he did not hide anything. He roughly explained the situation, and also mentioned that the boss wanted to subdue him. Very shocked. His face was filled with disbelief. You want me to submit to you? That's right. The Swanee beast suppressed the anger in its heart. If it was at its peak, how could the other party dare to do this? But now, his injuries were so serious that any random person could easily deal with him, let alone the other party. How should he choose? Submit. Reject. The Swanee divine beast was not a fool. Of course, it was very clear about the current situation. It was very passive. If it chose to refuse, the other party would very likely kill it directly. It was just that he was unwilling to submit to Lu Xian. If you can help me take revenge, I will submit to you. Who is the other party? Longao didn't need to ask to be sure that it wasn't any other Chaos Beast that had injured Bian. After all, he had 8 Chaos Beasts at his disposal. As for Wu Tianmo and Judas, it wasn't likely either. However, the only thing he could be sure of was that the person who heavily injured the Swanee divine beast was definitely very powerful. At the very least, he was a primal chaos samsara martial artist. Throughout the entire primal chaos realm, there were at most no more than 20 primal chaos reincarnation realm martial artists, so who was the one who heavily injured the Swanee divine beast? Not to mention Longao, even Blackie and the other chaotic divine beasts were curious as well. They did not know who this person was. Among the 10 chaotic divine beasts, the Swanee divine beast was in the top 5. To be able to injure the Swanee divine beast, it was easy to imagine what it meant. The Swanee divine beast's face was extremely gloomy. This person is very strong. 1,000 years ago, we fought for 3 days and 3 nights. In the end, I was heavily injured by this person. If I hadn't hidden here, I would have died long ago. Longao and the others were shocked. In a direct confrontation, the Swanee divine beast had been defeated. Swanee, who is it? Jin too asked impatiently. He was a little angry. Not to mention Jin and I, even Longao and the others were a little anxious. They wanted to know who the other party was. Swanee divine beast's voice was extremely gloomy. This person is Duanmu Jin. Duanmu Jin? Blackie and the others all cried out in surprise. Even Longao's face instantly turned grave. This was because they were familiar with this Duanmu Jin that Swanee divine beast spoke of. Death god Duanmu Jin. Blackie's face was very gloomy. This was because in the past, Duanmu Jin had great enmity with the boss and himself. However, the death god Duanmu Jin was indeed very strong. Even the boss at his peak could not kill Duanmu Jin. From this, one could imagine just how strong Duanmu Jin was. Longao had never thought that the person who had heavily injured the Swanee divine beast would be the death god Duanmu Jin. He said gravely, back then, there was a rumor in the Chaos realm that Duanmu Jin had died. It seems. Swanee divine beast continued, Duanmu Jin didn't die at all. He did it on purpose. He wanted to succeed in proving his way. Succeed in proving his way? It was easy to think about, but it was extremely difficult to actually do it. I don't know where Duanmu Jin got the secret technique. It said that he could succeed in proving his way by constantly killing. That's why Duanmu Jin kept going to ordinary starry plains and slaughtering countless people. After so many years, I don't know how many people Duanmu Jin has killed. Longao was taken aback. Trying to prove his way through killing was completely detrimental to the Chaos Great Tao. Forget about proving his way, he would probably be killed by the Chaos Great Tao. It was too detrimental to the Chaos Great Tao. Why does Duanmu Jin want to deal with you? Intuition told Longao that Duanmu Jin must be up to something. Swanee divine beast thought for a moment and said, the reason Duanmu Jin wants to deal with me is to kill and prove his way. I see. Duanmu Jin was completely crazy. No normal person would be like this. Trying to prove his way through killing was simply a pipe dream. If he could really succeed, why would he need to wait for Duanmu Jin? It was complete nonsense. Longao's expression was very serious. If it were anyone else, this would be easy to deal with. But facing Duanmu Jin, it was really a big problem. After all, Duanmu Jin was a madman and his strength was obvious. As if he could guess what Longao was thinking, Swanee Divine Beast asked, "Are you afraid?" "Ha ha ha, boss, why would you be afraid?" "Ha ha ha, that's nonsense. Swanee, back then, boss and I fought with Duanmu Jin several times. We just didn't kill him. If you were afraid of him, you wouldn't have provoked Duanmu Jin back then." Swanee Divine Beast was also a little surprised. He never thought that Longao had fought with Duanmu Jin back then. If someone else said this, he would definitely not choose to believe it. But since the Heaven-Devouring Beast and the Golden Lion Divine Beast said so, Swanee Divine Beast did not doubt it at all. Chapter 32-25. The final result. Swan Ni chose to submit to Longao on the condition that he would avenge him. Kill Duanmu Jin. Longao was pleasantly surprised. After subduing Swan Ni, he now had 9 chaotic divine beasts. What did that mean? He was only 1 divine beast away from the 10 chaotic divine beasts. Longao had no confidence in subduing divine beast Zhu Yin. If it was just divine beast Zhu Yin alone, there would be no suspense. However, the current situation was a little different. Divine beast Zhu Yin had always followed Mo Wutian. How could he subdue divine beast Zhu Yin? It was complete nonsense. "Boss, you really got the chaotic divine beast diagram?" Until now, Swan Ni still could not believe that his boss was so lucky. He knew better than anyone else what the chaotic divine beast diagram meant. Blackie smiled and said, "You don't believe me?" He sighed. "It's not that I don't believe you, I don't dare to believe you. According to the legends, the chaotic divine beast diagram is the nemesis of the 10 chaotic divine beasts. I didn't believe it until now. I don't know if it's true or not. Legends were always legends. No one knew if it was true or not. The 10 chaotic divine beasts did not want to believe it. Nemesis." Longao smiled and said, "Not long ago, I completely refined the chaotic divine beast diagram. Just like what Swan Ni said, the chaotic divine beast diagram is the nemesis of the 10 chaotic divine beasts. It can even completely refine the 10 chaotic divine beasts. If it were anyone else who said this, Swan Ni and the others would not have believed it. Only their boss said it. No one doubted it. It seemed that the legends were true. "Boss, since the chaotic divine beast diagram can refine us, it can also refine divine beast Zhu Yin. Why don't we just subdue divine beast diagram?" How could Longao not know what Blackie meant? Longao shook his head and said, "If I were to recover my primal chaos reincarnation realm, I would be able to use the chaos spiritual beast diagram to forcefully subdue the divine beast diagram. But now, I can only use 80% of the chaos spiritual beast diagram's power. It will be difficult to subdue the divine beast diagram. Moreover, there is Mo Wutian by its side." This was the key. It was very troublesome. If possible, Longao would definitely want to tame the mythological beast more than anyone else. After all, as long as he could tame the Candle Shadow mythical beast, he would be able to gather all 10 chaos mythical beasts. When that happened, he would be able to combine them with the chaos mythical beast diagram. "Boss, don't tell me you don't plan on taming the Zhu Yin divine beast." Taming the divine beast Zhu Yin? How could he not tame the Zhu Yin mythical beast? Longao thought for a moment, then said, "Judas isn't that urgent. Let's deal with Wutian Mo first, then deal with Judas." Blackstone Domain. Longao had just returned when he heard about the Demon Palace. Due to the 3 superpowers working together, the Demon Palace had already begun to retreat. However, the Demon Palace definitely wouldn't let the matter rest. It was prepared to counterattack at any moment. Counterattack? It was a complete joke. It was almost impossible for the Demon Palace to fight 1 against 3 and regain sole control of the Chaos Realm. "Master, what should we do next?" The 5 Elements Patriarch had to ask Longao before doing anything. After all, Longao was the master of the dragon sect. How could Longao not understand the five elements patriarch's intention? He thought for a moment, then said, "We've already divided the world into 4. There's no need to continue fighting with the Demon Palace. From now on, the Domain Lords Alliance and the Pill Hall will deal with the Demon Palace. We only need to watch from the sidelines." Longao knew that the dragon sect was able to divide the world equally because of the fire bug puppet army. In terms of strength and foundation, the dragon sect couldn't be compared to the other 3 superpowers. They weren't even on the same level. The 3 superpowers had been developing for countless years. However, the dragon sect had only been around for 100 years. How could they fight head-on? The 5 Elements Patriarch had the same idea. He nodded and said, "Old ancestor, I know what to do." The 5 Elements Patriarch had single-handedly created the dragon sect. He was very attached to the dragon sect. Of course, he didn't want anything to happen to the dragon sect. At this moment, the 5 Elements Patriarch already knew his master's true identity. He was a Chaos Reincarnation Realm expert. Because of that, the 5 Elements Patriarch knew that his master didn't really care about the dragon sect. He just wanted to suppress the Demon Palace's temporary force. The Demon Palace was preparing to counterattack. However, the Domain Lords Alliance and the Pill Hall had temporarily joined hands to fight against the Demon Palace. In this way, the Demon Palace had no chance at all. On the peak of a mountain, Han Wu and Kang Ye looked at the boundless void in the distance. Their faces were solemn. In 100 years, the Domain Lords Alliance and the Pill Hall had lost the initiative. It seemed difficult to completely destroy the Demon Palace. "Brother Han, you should know the current situation. We don't need to worry about the Demon Palace. The most important thing is Mo Wu Tian and the Zhuyin Divine Beast. As long as we kill the 2 of them, the Demon Palace will collapse." How could Han Wu not know what Kang Ye meant? However, it wasn't easy to kill a man and a beast. No matter if it was Mo Wu Tian or the Zhuyin Divine Beast, they were both in the Chaos Reincarnation realm. If it had been Wu Tian Mo or Judas alone, the combined might of the 2 beasts would have been more than enough to kill one of them. But now, the situation was different. 1 man and 1 beast working together was a difficult foe to deal with. Then what should we do now? According to the news I received, the master of the dragon sect should be Longao. Although Longao hasn't recovered to the Chaos Reincarnation realm, with his strength and potential, he should be able to suppress Mo Wu Tian once he recovers to his peak. The 2 of them were very clear about Longao's situation. After all, in the entire Chaos world, there wasn't anyone like Longao who could self-create a Dao-confirming martial skill. Longao could be said to be the first person. He created the 9 Revolution Chaos technique and reached the peak of the Chaos Reincarnation realm just by breaking through to the peak of the 7th Revolution. The 2 of them could even say that if Longao really broke through to the 8th Revolution, he would definitely succeed in his Dao-confirming martial skill. Longao is the most promising Chaos Reincarnation realm cultivator. Therefore, no matter what, we have to build a good relationship with him. Longao has a grudge with Mo Wu Tian. Even if you and I don't interfere, I believe that the 2 of them will fight in the future. We just have to watch from the sidelines, and I believe that when the time comes, we can reap the benefits. Watch from the sidelines. Reap the benefits. Now that things had come to this point, the 2 of them didn't have any better ideas. They could only choose to watch the fire from the other side of the river. In their opinion, with the enmity between Longao and Mo Wu Tian, if nothing unexpected happened, the 2 of them would definitely fight. Moreover, it would be the kind of fight where either one of them would die. Chapter 32-26. Everyone had their own agenda. In this world, there were no eternal enemies and no eternal friends. Han Wu and Kang Ye's intentions were simple. They wanted Longao and Mo Wu Tian to fight. It would be best if both of them were severely injured. Then, they could take advantage of the situation. Even Han Wu and Kang Ye had ulterior motives. As long as there was a chance, they would deal with each other. There was no doubt about it. Since the 4 super forces divided the world, they seemed to be biding their time. No one continued to attack. They were all waiting for each other to attack. Gradually, the Chaos Realm fell into silence. Black Stone Heavenly Region. Dragon Peak, Dragon Sect. Back Peak, in a forbidden area. Without Longao's order, no one dared to step into the forbidden area. Looking at the Chaos Beast diagram in his hand, Longao still did not know what the secret of the Chaos Beast diagram was. According to the legend, if one obtained the Chaos Beast diagram and gathered the 10 Chaos Divine Beasts, they would be able to unleash destructive power. However, he had gathered the 9 Chaos Divine Beasts and tried many times. It was not as powerful as he had imagined. Did he really have to gather the 10 Chaos Divine Beasts? Intuition told Longao that even if he could subdue the Divine Beast Juyin and gather the 10 Chaos Divine Beasts, he believed that he would not be able to unleash the legendary power of the Chaos Beast diagram. There must be more secrets in the Chaos Beast diagram. It was just that he did not know what was going on. Blackie and the other 9 Chaos Divine Beasts appeared and stared at their boss. Boss, you don't have to study it. The Chaos Beast diagram needs the blood of the 10 Chaos Divine Beasts. We only have 9 people and we lack the blood of the Divine Beast Juyin. According to my guess, as long as you can gather the blood of the Divine Beast diagram, you will be able to unlock the secret of the Chaos Beast diagram. Dao Tai and the other Chaos Divine Beasts nodded and agreed with Blackie. However, Longao shook his head. His face was extremely serious. The Chaos Beast diagram is definitely not that simple. I have a feeling that if we can gather the 10 Chaos Divine Beasts, not only can we unlock the secret of the Chaos Beast diagram, but also, boss, even what? Blackie and the others were very curious. They did not know what their boss wanted to say. The 9 Chaos Divine Beasts were still wary of the Chaos Divine Beasts drawing. Fortunately, boss obtained the Chaos Divine Beast diagram. If it was someone else who obtained the Chaos Divine Beast diagram, it would be troublesome. The Chaos Divine Beast diagram can help all 10 of you Chaos Divine Beasts successfully attain Dao. Heh! The 9 chaotic holy beasts were dumbfounded when they heard what Longao had said. Dao validation? Be it Chaos Warriors or Chaos Divine Beasts, all of them dreamed of successfully proving their path. However, looking at the Chaos Realm, how many people could successfully prove their path? Even Longao, who had created the 9 Revolution Chaos Mantra, had not been able to confirm his Dao. That was indeed the case. Blackie and the others were completely shocked because they'd never imagined that the Chaos Divine Beast diagram that was supposed to be the nemesis of Chaos Divine Beasts would actually be able to help them attain their Dao. Was this true? Unbelievable. If someone else said this, they definitely wouldn't choose to believe it. However, the person who said this was their boss. No one doubted it at all, especially Little Black. Boss, is what you're saying true? That should be the case. The Chaos Divine Beast diagram can help the 10 Chaos Divine Beasts succeed in proving their Dao. In that case, the power of the 10 Chaos Divine Beasts will all be gathered in the Chaos Divine Beast diagram. Even if the Divine Beasts are at the same level as us, we can still kill them. Although it was only a guess, Longao was confident that his guess was correct. The more confident it was, the more Longao looked forward to it. Before, he didn't even dare think about it. But now, the situation was completely different. He already had 9 Chaos Divine Beasts, and only the Judas was left. Not to mention Longao, even Blackie and the other Chaos Divine Beasts were excited. If what boss said was true, then there was no doubt that if they could successfully subdue the Judas, then they could successfully attain their Dao. This was something they'd always dreamed of. Boss, when will we be able to subdue the Judas? Bian couldn't wait to ask. Even the other Chaos Divine Beasts were looking forward to it. They couldn't wait to go to the Demon Palace and seek out the Judas. Before Longao could respond, the serpent spoke. 9-headed draconic python laughed. Boss, in the past it would have been difficult for you to tame Judas. But now things are different. All we have to do is tell Judas about this, and if nothing unexpected happens, I'm sure he'll agree. No one could refuse the Judas' request. Not even the Judas. Longao understood the serpent's intentions. He thought for a moment, then shook his head. Let's not act rashly. If the Judas doesn't agree, then we'll be forced into a passive position. This was nonsense. If the Judas knew about this and chose not to submit, then word of this would spread. All of the Chaos Warriors would come looking for trouble. Just thinking about it made him shudder. There was no need to make trouble for himself. Boss. Waving his hand, he stopped the 9 chaotic divine beasts from continuing. Longao said, I know what you mean. I also want you to succeed in proving your Tao. However, there are some things that cannot be rushed. No one was more anxious than Longao. If all 9 Chaos Divine Beasts succeeded in proving their Tao, and with the help of the Chaos Divine Beast diagram, not to mention other things, even a Tao-proving martial artist would not be his opponent. However, the current situation did not allow him to be reckless. As the saying goes, caution is the parent of safety. Blackie and the others looked at each other. They could see the helplessness in each other's eyes. But Boss already had the Chaos Beast diagram. All that was missing was the Judas. As long as nothing unexpected happened, he could subdue the Judas. If it were anyone else, the 9 Chaos Divine Beasts wouldn't believe it. But their boss was different. After all, in all of Chaos, no one had ever obtained the Chaos Beast diagram at the same time. What's more, he could gather all 9 Chaos Divine Beasts. No one had ever done it before. Since that was the case, there was no harm in waiting. However, knowing that they were about to attain Tao, the 9 Divine Beasts of Chaos, including Blackie, were extremely excited. They couldn't even wait for a minute. In fact, it wasn't just the 9 Divine Beasts of Chaos. Chapter 32-27. Within the chaotic Dantian, Longao sat cross-legged and cultivated quietly, hoping that he could break through from the chaotic life and death state to the chaotic reincarnation state. It was easy to think about it, but difficult to actually do it. Longao was depressed as well. Even though the chaotic life and death state and the chaotic reincarnation state were only one state apart, the difference was way too great. If he couldn't cross this step, he wouldn't be able to deal with Mo Wutian and the others. Just Shuang Shuang alone. Even if Shuang Shuang had the strength to deal with Mo Wutian and the others, he couldn't let her do it. It was better to be safe than sorry. What if something happened to Shuang Shuang? Qin Shuang Shuang came to Longao's side and asked, haven't you sensed anything yet? He nodded helplessly. Holding Qin Shuang Shuang's hand gently, Longao smiled helplessly. I can already sense the chaotic reincarnation state, but I can't succeed at the final step. As for the reason, even Longao didn't know. That final step, he couldn't cross it. It's fine. Take your time. Shuang Shuang, is it useful for you to prove your Tao by cultivating beside the chaos tree? Tao proving? That was a state that every chaotic reincarnation martial artist dreamed of reaching. However, no one had succeeded in proving their Tao, including Qin Shuang Shuang. She wanted to prove her Tao as well. At this moment, Qin Shuang Shuang was sighing. She hadn't expected that Brother Long would be able to obtain the Chaos Tree. As the number 1 legendary object in the chaotic world, the might of the Chaos Tree was imaginable. Thinking about it, Qin Shuang Shuang said, Brother Long, I know what you mean. It's just that it's impossible to prove your Tao with the Chaos Tree. However, I've discovered something. What is it? Longao was curious about what Shuang Shuang had discovered. He thought about it. Qin Shuang Shuang smiled. Brother Long, according to my observations and senses during this period of time, if nothing goes wrong, you will naturally succeed in proving your Tao if you can refine the Chaos Tree completely. Huh! Upon hearing Shuang Shuang's words, Longao was stunned as shock was written all over his face. If it were anyone else, he wouldn't choose to believe it. But since it was Shuang Shuang said it, he couldn't not believe it. Longao was very clear that if it wasn't for the fact that she didn't have full confidence, it was impossible for Shuang Shuang to speak carelessly. Shuang Shuang, are you confident? It shouldn't be wrong. He was very shocked. However, Longao also knew very well that it wouldn't be easy to completely refine the Chaos Tree. Ever since he had obtained the Chaos Tree, he had been constantly refining it, but he was still unable to succeed. What kind of concept was that? Shuang Shuang, refining the primal Chaos Tree is not an easy task. How could Qin Shuang Shuang not know? If the Chaos Tree was so easy to refine, Big Brother Long would already be a Tao validation martial artist. As the number one divine object in the Chaos Realm, if the Chaos Tree was that easy to refine, it wouldn't be the Chaos Tree. Big Brother Long, no matter what, this is a good thing. Back then, you were unable to prove your Tao. Now that you have the Chaos Tree and the Chaos Dantian, I believe that if nothing goes wrong, you should be able to successfully break through this time. How could Longao not know what Shuang meant? He was very afraid of the power that had almost destroyed him back then. He had been one step away from successfully confirming his Tao, but this mysterious power had not only stopped him from confirming his Tao, but had also almost destroyed him. How could he not be afraid? Whether or not the chaotic Dantian that he possessed could contend against this mysterious power was really an unknown. Even Longao did not have full confidence in it. However, Longao didn't tell Shuang about his worries. He would talk about this in the future. The most important thing now wasn't to refine the Chaos Tree and prove his Tao, but to think of ways to break through the Chaos Reincarnation Realm as soon as possible. Big Brother Long, why don't we continue to cultivate the dual cultivation method? No need. If the two of them were of equal strength, the dual cultivation method would definitely be beneficial to both of them. However, Qin Shuang's cultivation had already recovered to the Chaos Reincarnation Realm. If anything happened to her during the dual cultivation method and she returned to her previous realm, then things would be much more troublesome. Not wanting to continue thinking about this problem, Longao smiled and said, "Don't tell me you have no confidence in me." Before Qin Shuang could speak, Longao continued, "Don't worry, I believe that I will break through the Chaos Reincarnation Realm very soon. As for refining the Chaos Tree, take your time." Since things had already come to this, Qin Shuang didn't know what to say. None of the four superforces were willing to take the initiative to attack. They all wanted to watch from the sidelines and reap the benefits. The first heavenly region. The first heavenly region was now the territory of the Devil Palace. With Mo Wutian and Zhuin's dual Chaos Reincarnation Realm guarding it, whether it was the Domain Lords Alliance, Pill Hall, or Dragon Sect, none of them would casually attack the first heavenly region. Devil Palace, Great Hall. Old Ancestor, are you really going to the Blackstone heavenly region to deal with Longao? Hearing that the Old Ancestor wanted to deal with Longao, Mo Wufeng was shocked. If it was before, he would have wanted the Old Ancestor to immediately kill Longao. After all, Longao's growth speed had far exceeded his understanding. However, the situation was different now. Nobody knew what kind of trump card Longao had up his sleeves. If the Old Ancestor rashly went there and something happened to him, then the Devil Palace would be completely destroyed. In fact, Mo Wufeng was very clear that the reason why the Devil Palace could dominate the world and split it into four was because of the Old Ancestor and Old Ancestor Zhuyin. Without the two Old Ancestors, one could imagine the consequences. Because of this, Mo Wufeng naturally didn't want anything to happen to the two Old Ancestors. Now, he also knew that Chaos Reincarnation Realm cultivators weren't invincible in the Chaos world, nor were they immortal. With regards to Mo Wufeng's intentions, how could Mo Wutian not understand? With a cold chuckle, he coldly said, Longao was able to establish the Dragon Sect in a short span of 100 years. Furthermore, he even has an army of tens of millions of firebugs. If we don't get rid of this person as soon as possible, there will be great trouble in the future. Mo Wutian wanted to deal with Longao for another reason, and that was to obtain the 9 Revolution Chaos Mantra in Longao's hands. Mo Wutian wasn't a fool. He knew that it was almost impossible for him to prove his Tao with his own cultivation. If he could get his hands on Longao's 9 Revolution Chaos Mantra, then he might have a chance. He wasn't willing to wait any longer. Nobody knew when Longao would return to the Chaos Reincarnation Realm. If he couldn't kill Longao now, then it would be even more impossible to deal with Longao after Longao returned to the Chaos Reincarnation Realm. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.